them a low white. Hennessy white when you see we know a pure white. Turn up time with the rock like a boat ride. A million night when you know boy lifestyle. Girl a pop champagne and a pop style. She see the child and want carry my child. Cause anyway, me them money there. Anyway, gun was a girl there. I'm from weed there. Girl I give on there.
Pretty man, don't worry, me want you to bring it up. Make me happy whenever you put in a traffic, you ready. You anything, me have to go lock it up. Baby girl, just a go on over, so give me some. We pretty feel she love for me, but you know. Set it on the table, beat that me up.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
nationwide time 5 o'clock.
Learn about smart betting strategies with AnyBet. Bet wisely, enjoy responsibly, and maximize your success. The temperature by AnyBet is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston and Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robian Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, the PSOJ boss stands firm in his backing of Dennis Chung as head of the FID amid criticism from the opposition leader.
Jamaica eye monitoring centers to make policing easier and law enforcement more effective.
2,500 more CCTV cameras to be installed across the country over the next 3 years.
180,000 households island-wide still not connected to the legal electricity grid.
This is a challenge that my ministry and its partners are determined to overcome, ensuring that all households are connected legally and sustainably.
Police urged to intensify their efforts to find those responsible for 2 recent violent attacks against JLP supporters.
In news from the rest of the world, 16 Venezuelan migrants rescued as TNT authorities dismantle major human trafficking ring.
Man mistakenly deported to El Salvador is back in the U.S. to face charges.
In headline sports, 2 Jamaicans win big at Golden Gala Diamond League meeting in Rome on Friday.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, the Telecommunications Minister Darrell Vaz says harsher penalties are coming for persons guilty of damaging and stealing equipment from telecoms service providers. Minister Vaz will join us. We'll also hear from the head of government and regulatory affairs at Flow, Charles Douglas, and the legal and regulatory director at Digicel, Bjorn Spence.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, if you could have one superpower, what would it be and why? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the TAJ, in collaboration with the Portmore and Spanish Town Municipal Corporations, is undertaking a property tax special enforcement operation. It's targeting delinquent property owners. Deputy Commissioner General in charge of operations at the TAJ, Dave Jeffrey, will tell us more.
And at 8, it's the A-Team with Dennis Brooks.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Friday afternoon, it's a lovely Friday, June 6, 2025.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. The president of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, the PSOJ, Metri Siaga, says he still believes Dennis Chung is suited to hold the position of Chief Technical Director of the Financial Investigations Division, the FID. He's responding to opposition leader Mark Golding, who criticized members of the private sector for throwing their support behind Chung's appointment. Mahiri Stewart reports.
While addressing a PNP forum in St. James on Wednesday, Mr. Golding praised non-government groups who voiced their concerns about Mr. Chung's appointment as head of the FID. At the same time, he he criticized members of the private sector who have spoken out in defense of Mr. Chung.
So this is a totally untenable situation, and I'm very happy that various non-government and non-political organizations have come forward and said this is untenable, this doesn't look right, it should not stand. And I'm very disappointed that there are some leaders in the private sector who seem to think there's nothing wrong with what has taken place. I suggest that they reconsider the matter and look at the facts, because it is absolutely clear and blatant that this appointment is totally inappropriate, untenable, and should not stand.
But PSOJ President Metri Siaga maintains that Mr. Chung is an upstanding citizen fit for the job.
No, I have not changed my position. I still maintain that Mr. Chung is a decent, law-abiding citizen of Jamaica, and his comments regarding the Prime Minister's bank accounts, I don't see why that would in and of itself exclude him from serving in the position. I think Mr. Chung has been someone that has given his time and his effort to Jamaica and to serving on many boards in both administrations.
Mr. Golding insists that Mr. Chung is biased and unqualified for the post. Mr. Siaga says it is up to the Office of Services Commission to confirm whether or not changes to the qualifications for the role were made.
If one looks at the comment, they will see that he said that what was important is not the number of accounts, but the substance of what goes through the accounts, which I agree with him wholeheartedly. So, again, no, I do not change my position. I think that Mr. Chung's ability to do the job remains, and if given an opportunity, I think he'll do a good job. Whether or not the rules were changed is a different matter, and that's something that the Services Commission can speak to. But once he applied for the job and all was well, then I support him.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Mr. Siaga is welcoming the introduction of job descriptions for members of parliament.
Job descriptions for MPs is a small move in the right direction. We are happy that KPIs are being set, and we at the PSOJ are working hard with the government to make sure that these are set and that there can be some measurement of the work that's being done.
Metri Siaga, PSOJ President. On Tuesday, the report on job descriptions for parliamentarians was tabled and approved in the lower house. The report will form the basis on which proper criteria will be established for the public to judge the performance and behavior of their MPs.
Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake has revealed that the police are now able to use mathematical modeling to assist in disrupting gangs across the country. Dr. Blake made the revelation while addressing the inaugural JCF Mensa lecture in St. Andrew on Friday.
POSET, partially ordered set, is a subset of lattice theory, and it allows, it's a network, it deals with social network. Right? So what it does, it allows you to assess the probability of a network being broken given X number of members taken out. And so you can do it the other way around. If you want to guarantee a 65% that a gang is dismantled, the tool will tell you how many of any member, any node that you need to have in your custody. And it defines what broken is, when their communication cannot take place from the top to the line staff.
The Mensa lecture aims to infuse intellectual rigor into policing and securing Jamaica. It forms part of the JCF's ongoing transformation initiative. The initiative is focused on fusing technology, human resources, and planning and logistics to boost security outcomes. The Commissioner spoke to multiple improvements in infrastructure, bail management, and license plate detection and database systems. Dr. Blake says the gang control model has allowed the police to accurately report on gang activity island-wide.
But then we're also able to recursively look at the formation of the existing cells and then apply that again and see what is required. And so now we can speak definitively when we tell you that we have X number of active gangs and we had that before and stuff like that. So this is the application of mathematics and stuff. And the people who do this may not know mathematics. Again, remember the model and the black box? All of that is contained in the black box and you get the output and stuff like that.
Dr. Kevin Blake, the police commissioner.
National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says the build-out of the Jamaica Eye monitoring centers is meant to make policing easier and law enforcement more effective. He was speaking on Thursday at the commissioning of the Jamaica Eye Monitoring Center at the Denham Town Police Station in Kingston. Khalesia Wright reports.
The National Security Minister says the Jamaica Eye monitoring centers will further bolster crime prevention across Jamaica.
We think it will be very useful and will make the police work much easier, add to our effect as a police force, and really give greater confidence and trust in the work of the police. It's part of the wider sustained investment, of course, to modernize how we approach law enforcement, crime prevention, and public safety across Jamaica. Prevention is what we desire, but enforcement we will effect through the police as we enforce, and we are confident as we improve our efficiency in enforcement, of course, prevention will increase. It is, of course, aligned with all our goals of broad national goals, and through this and other initiatives, we are providing our police officers with the tools to get the job done.
Dr. Chang says the latest monitoring center has cameras installed across the downtown Kingston business district.
It's a major upgrade of our national CCTV program, where 285 high-definition CCTV cameras are now fully installed and operational across Denham Town, Waltham, and downtown Kingston business district. It's the area that the division covers, and we have seen significant reduction in major crimes and homicide, and we expect that with the fully operationalization of the CCTV cameras, it will go further. It's a strategic move to increase visibility. Essentially, what you do with technical cameras, you have as I said, a 360 degrees and full 24/7 view of the area that you're operating in, and this is what we expect to build out across the island then.
The Jamaica Eye Monitoring Center at the Denham Town Police Station was undertaken at a cost of $300 million. This is the second center commissioned since May. On May 6, another center, monitoring 51 CCTV cameras along critical corridors in Olympic Way, St. Andrew West Central, was commissioned at the Olympic Gardens Police Station. That center was undertaken at a cost of more than $100 million. The National Security Minister says the latest Jamaica Eye Center in Denham Town brings to 9 the number of facilities in operation island-wide.
There are already 8 functioning monitoring centers across the island. We opened the one on Olympic Way just a month ago, and this one will bring us to a total of 9. We now have connection to a central point so we can monitor and respond across. The central monitoring point, of course, is referred to from time to time. The C5 Center will have, is being brought up to the modern level to, in fact, to involve a number of other input and to provide the police central command a level of decision-making answer that will be unique in this region.
Khalesia Wright for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Dr. Chang says the National Closed Circuit Television Master Plan will see the installation of 2,500 more CCTV cameras across the country over the next 3 years.
We are looking at a national program. We already made a decision to acquire an additional 2,500 cameras over the next, we have said 3 years, but we're looking at maybe even a shorter time. But it does take time to not only procure, but to install cameras, see that they're working properly, and get the entire system working effectively before you kind of move to the next one and next one. And you install 2,500 cameras simultaneously, not only costly, but when anything go wrong, you get the bang. You do it in a systematic way. We now have 9 monitoring centers of today. We'll be establishing a few more monitoring centers until we get to a point where we cover the island and that the center will have feedback from all across the island. It's a very effective means of strengthening the hand of the police and ensuring that we can in fact deal with those who are criminally inclined.
Dr. Horace Chang, the National Security Minister.
Energy Minister Darrell Vaz says 180,000 households island-wide are still not connected to the legal electricity grid. He revealed the figure while speaking at the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS's Electrification Fair in St. Anne on Friday.
So if your neighbor don't want to sign up but still want to throw up, the good is going to suffer for the bad. So you must be your brother's keeper and your sister's keeper and encourage them to do the right thing, because I don't want them to say JPS wicked, our government wicked. We are doing everything to facilitate you, the citizens in St. Anne and all across Jamaica, to have this done. 180,000 Jamaican households. That is what remains without access to the national grid. And this is a challenge that my ministry and its partners are determined to overcome, ensuring that all households are connected legally and sustainably.
The government has earmarked $1 billion to assist the first 20,000 new customers to regularize their service under the JPS prepaid electricity program. This provision will cover payments for house wirings and inspections. It is also aimed at formalizing illegal connections and safely integrating those households into the JPS grid. The initiative forms part of the Holness Administration's plan to achieve universal energy access by 2030. Minister Vaz says extra provisions are being made to ensure residents in St. Anne can join the JPS's grid by July.
The Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, JSIP, and our partners are now procuring an additional 200 house wiring solutions, specifically for communities right here in St. Anne. This initiative is for everyone. I urge you, when implementation begins, ensure your homes are ready to be safely and legally connected to the national grid. There are people, they heard about this project. They don't believe it. It is too good to be true that you don't have to find $120,000 to $150,000 to wire your house. The government is doing that for you. It is in fact going to happen, and happen in the time that has been specified, which is July of 2025, not 26.
Darrell Vaz, Minister of Energy.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Annual eye examinations not only assess your vision but may be life-saving. Eye tests may detect serious health issues that go beyond your vision, including diabetes, hypertension, and some cancers. Call IQ Optical to schedule your comprehensive eye test today. The time by IQ Optical is...
It's 15 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston and Montego Bay.
Continuing the news. JLP caretaker for Southeast St. Andrew, Kevin Frith, is calling on law enforcement to intensify their efforts to bring to justice those responsible for 2 recent violent attacks against members of the party. In the latest incident, a JLP electoral scrutineer was abducted on Saturday near Downer Avenue in the Swallowfield area of the constituency. According to reports, Lorna Robertson, also known as Nikki, was forced into a vehicle by an unknown assailant around 5:36 in the morning. She was abducted a day before the funeral of JLP activist David Clark, also known as Roger. Clark was shot and killed in April at his home, also located in Swallowfield. The motive for both attacks remained unclear. Mr. Frith is calling for targeted police intervention in parts of the constituency to restore safety and protect residents.
Since I'm in the position, I've been told of prior incidents where members of the team shot and killed in separate incidents. And now recently we have Raja being murdered inside of his house. And the day before Raja's funeral, Nikki was kidnapped. Now, this is a very concerning matter for myself, members of my immediate team, and just people in the community. And we're all calling on the police to use what powers they have to leave no stone unturned until they find the perpetrators behind this horrible incident.
Kevin Frith, JLP caretaker for Southeast St. Andrew.
President of the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services TODS, Edgerton Newman, is urging the Transport Authority to prioritize cracking down on the playing of loud and lewd music in public passenger vehicles, PPVs. This, he believes, is more logical than targeting operators for the installation of non-standard audio equipment. Under Section 15 of the Transport Authority regulations, PPV operators are prohibited from using flash drives, Bluetooth devices, CDs, or any equipment capable of playing back audio or video recordings outside of standard AM or FM radios. Mr. Newman argues that the long-standing issue is not the equipment itself, but the inappropriate content and excessive volume of music played by some operators.
One problem we suffer from in the public transport sector is continuity and sustainability. We know, everybody know that you don't play lewd and loud music on public transportation. So it's a reenactment of that. Now, the focus should be on lewd and loud music, not so much instruments. Because as you know that a number of our vehicles are fitted with certain instruments that it was put there by us. We are not for this sort of attitude by our drivers and our conductors, lewd and loud music.
Edgerton Newman, president of TODS.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
In regional news, the Ministry of Homeland Security in Trinidad and Tobago says its counter-trafficking unit dismantled a human trafficking ring in Tunapuna on Friday. The ministry says a coordinated raid was conducted at a residence in Tunapuna where the authorities discovered 17 persons. They include 12 adult females between the ages of 18 and 26, 2 adult males between 21 and 28, 1 minor female aged 16, and 2 babies under the age of 3. All were Venezuelan nationals except for one of the babies, who is a Trinidadian national. Officers also recovered 1 illegal firearm and seized $150,000 in cash suspected to be linked to illicit trafficking proceeds. The ministry adds that 1 Venezuelan national was arrested at the scene. The 16 victims were both transferred to the care of the Children's Authority. The ministry says the raid, dubbed Operation G-Ride, was conducted after 6 months of intensive intelligence gathering and surveillance.
A Maryland man mistakenly deported to El Salvador has been returned to the United States. Kilmar Abrego Garcia has been charged with human trafficking. The Trump administration mistakenly deported Abrego Garcia to an El Salvador prison in March. At a press conference on Friday, Attorney General Pam Bondi confirmed he had landed in the U.S. He says Abrego Garcia played a significant role in smuggling illegal immigrants on more than 100 trips throughout the country. His wife has previously said he worked in construction and transported workers between job sites. White House Press Secretary says Abrego Garcia will meet the full force of American justice.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour amid criticism. Or rather, the police now are able to use mathematical modeling to assist in disrupting gangs across the country.
Jamaica Eye monitoring centers to make policing easier and law enforcement more effective.
2,500 more CCTV cameras to be installed across the country over the next 3 years.
PSOJ president stands firm in his backing of Dennis Chung as head of the FID.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
And listeners, you can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app. Available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Are your devices accurate? Are they calibrated? Even small errors can lead to big problems. That's why Jamaicans trust the Bureau of Standards Jamaica. From food to fuel, health to hardware, our metrology and testing division provides world-class calibration and measurement services to keep your devices precise and your business meeting global standards. Whether you're weighing goods, monitoring temperature, or relying on the accuracy of devices, we get it right every time. Our advanced equipment and experts help you move with confidence. Call 876-618-1534 or visit bsj.org.jm. The Bureau of Standards Jamaica. From lab to market, the power of precision, powering accuracy, ensuring safety.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Shea Hope's debut as West Indies T20 captain ended in defeat as the two-time world champion suffered a 21-run loss to England in Durham in the opening game of their three-match T20 International Series today. England won the toss and decided to take first turn at bat, and they posted 188 for 6 in their allotted overs. Joss Butler led the way with a cracking 96 of 81 balls, with 6 fours and 4 sixes. He was supported by Jamie Smith, 38, and Jacob Bethel, 23, as Romario Shepherd bagged the 2 for 33. The Windies couldn't cope with the England bowling attack, and they were restricted to 167 for 9. Evan Lewis top scored at 39, and Ruston Chase 24, as Liam Dawson in his first game in England in 4 years ended with 4 for 20 and 2 wickets each for Matthew Potts and Jacob Bethel. Hope says the West Indies batting is a powerful one, but they must quickly get up to speed with the England spinners.
A lot of teams like to throw a spin at the West Indies. It's just something that we're aware of. We just need to get better, just quite frank. As a batting unit, we've got so much depth in that batting unit. We're so powerful, so destructive. And it's just one day break. We've got to ensure that we pick ourselves up, put this one behind us. And we have 2 more games to win the series, so we've got to look forward.
That's Shea Hope, the West Indies white ball captain. The second game in the series will be played on Sunday in Bristol. The West Indies women all-rounder Janella Glasgow says they want to end their tour of England on a high when their teams meet in the third and final one-day international at the Coopers Associates County Ground on Saturday. The hosts won game 1 by 108 runs and followed with a 143-run victory in the second game. Glasgow says they're not concerned about batting or fielding first.
It's a flat wicket, but some good pace it will come on, and this is something we all like. I think most of us love the pace, and coming on and the starting, I think we'll have a good start whether we bat or bowl first. We have played 5 games already, so I don't think it should be a matter between myself or the rest of the girls whether we bat or bowl. We just have to come prepare and end on a high note.
Janella Glasgow. Meanwhile, West Indies women's captain Hayley Matthews will be unavailable for selection due to injury. Matthews was previously ruled out of the second ODI at Leicester with a left shoulder injury that was aggravated by a fall in the field during the opening ODI at Derby. In Leicester, the medical team took precautionary measures to avoid further aggravation to the shoulder. The 27-year-old travelled to London on Thursday to consult with a specialist, while the rest of the team made the journey over to Taunton. Shanika Ricketts ticked off her second straight victory on the current Wanda Diamond League circuit with a season's best performance in the women's triple jump at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome on Friday. The Olympic silver medalist from Paris landed the event with 14 meters 64, slightly behind the 14 meters 72 she did to win in Doha, Qatar on May 16. The other Jamaican win in the Italian capital came in the women's 400 meters hurdles. Anjanette Knight stormed to victory in 53.67 seconds. Fellow Jamaicans Rachel Clayton and Cheyenne Summon were third and seventh in 54.31 and 55.47 seconds respectively. The Olympic bronze medalist Rajendra Campbell had to settle for third in the men's shot put with 21 meters 64. Tom Walsh of New Zealand won with 21 meters 89. Kerry McLeod was fifth in the men's long jump with 8 meters 01, while in the men's sprint hurdles Orlando Bennett clocked the season's best 13.29 seconds for fourth, while Omar McLeod was eighth in 13.58 seconds. One of the highlights of the night, the men's 100 meters, where the USA's Trayvon Bromell won in a world-leading 9.84 seconds. Emmanuel Esimi from Cameroon did 9.99. Leaders Frasers will start favourites when they take on Springers United, who sit at the foot of the table in the Jamaica Women's Premier League at Excelsior High on Saturday. Meanwhile, Wi-Fi United will play Federal United at Carter Park. Arnett Gardens welcome UWI women at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex. Cavalier will tussle with Proven Girls at Alpha Boys Home, and Real Mobay will play Los Perfectos at Jarrett Park at 3:30. And just going back a little to cricket, the coach of St. Catherine CC, Odin Brown, says his players are ready to take on Kensington CC in the final of the two-day Michael Holding Senior Cup cricket competition, also Stewart's Automotive. Ultimate Cricket Ground in Discovery Bay is the venue for the game, and it starts tomorrow. Kensington booked their spot in the final after beating Clarendon CA in the semi-final 2 on first innings points, while St. Catherine advanced after beating last year's winners Kingston CC also on first innings. Brown says he'll be without several of his first team regulars.
We put in the work to be here. So we're looking forward to it. The boys are ready to go. You know, I must say that we lost a lot of players from our team, but we have players that can come in and do the job. They have other engagements, so I'm going overseas, going to play.
Brown says the formula for victory is simple.
Just be consistent, do the basic, remain patient. We have something that's going with us, which is momentum. We play the game with momentum, and stick to the plan, show the game. Know that they're playing some good cricket, but in terms of personality, I don't know much about them, and we tend to focus on what we can do as a team.
That's Monday calls Kinney O'Dean Brown. Finally in sports at this time, top seed Yannick Sinner teed up the French Open final against Carlos Alcaraz that many expected after edging past Novak Djokovic in a tense last four contest on the clay at Roland Garros today. Italy's Sinner won 6-4, 7-5, 7-6 to end Djokovic's hopes of winning a standalone record 25th Grand Slam title. Djokovic looked emotional as he put his racket bags down and waved farewell to an adoring crowd, the same crowd in which he won in front of the Olympic title last year. The defending champion Alcaraz moved into his second successive Roland Garros final after HC Lorenzo Musetti retired injured in the fourth set of their semi-final early on Friday. Sinner, playing for his only second tournament back after a 3-month ban, has failed 2 doping tests, and he'll meet the Spaniard on Sunday at the Philippe Chatrier. And that will do it for sports. We're going to be back with more in our major sportscast at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
You want to win? Then just bet. Bet on the game, no stress, no sweat. And win big in the Wanna Bet Just Bet promotion. Spend $1,500 or more on one Just Bet ticket and complete the entry form at promotions.supremegames.com for your chance to win. Third place gets Beats by Dre. Second place gets an iPhone 15 and AirPods Pro. And first place gets a 65-inch TV and a soundbar. Promotion runs May 16 to July 20, 2025. Grand draw July 25, 2025. Authorized under Section 58(3) of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Tired of waiting for your ride? Want safety and peace of mind on every journey? Amber On Time is here! With verified drivers, real-time vehicle tracking, and panic button with armed security response, your safety is our priority. Reliable service, easy booking, premium experience, it's all just a tap away. Download Amber On Time today.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come on, let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Those oldies but goodies reminds me of you.
This is to advise that on Sunday, June 8, 2025, the Mayor's Parlor will begin at 12:30 p.m. We do apologize for any inconvenience caused.
Every
everything loud and wicked every Saturday 3 to 5 p.m. with Outside with Pepita. Loan vibes, loan laughs, and loan entertainment. Come on the road with me. Because when we say Outside with Pepita, we're there all over Jamaica. Anyway, check them out. We're there. We're in on the business. Stay tuned in for prizes, surprises, giveaways, guest artists, and enough more. But hold on there. We forget to big up my DJ. DJ Jerome the Shell Boss, I'm gonna make it bust to pew pew with the baddest, and latest tune. So look out for Outside with Pepita. We might be coming to a town near you. You heard it here first. Outside with Pepita, Saturdays 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. The new revolution in media. Jamaica, lock it in and don't miss a thing.
Public opinion. Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We all are Jamaican. Different people.
It's not a matter of a JLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the cover story. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
How are you, my friend?
Doing quite well.
Good. Listeners, we hope we find you well on this Friday afternoon. In the cover story this afternoon, we're turning our attention to some comments from the Telecommunications Minister, Daryl Vaz. He's saying that harsher penalties are coming for persons guilty of damaging and stealing equipment from telecoms service providers. He says the new fines for criminal vandalism or theft of equipment owned by the telecoms providers will be set as high as $5 million. In the meantime, Vice President and General Manager of Flow Jamaica, Stephen Price, has welcomed the announcement that the harsher penalties are coming.
Our Honorable PM Andrew Holness this week announced that legislation is on the way to really stem the challenges that we have in the cable theft and vandalism space. So we congratulate and thank the Prime Minister for his support, especially as we continue to make sure we keep Jamaica connected. Jamaica does not run without us, and we say that boldly. Financial sector, mining, tourism, nothing runs without this business. And we know the awesome responsibility we have to the people of Jamaica, and we are committed to making it happen.
That's Stephen Price. He's the Vice President and General Manager of Flow Jamaica. Well, Minister Vaz joins us now, and we'll also be joined a little later by the Head of the Government and Regulatory Affairs at Flow Jamaica, Charles Douglas, alongside the Legal and Regulatory Director at Digicel, Bjorn Spence. Good afternoon, Sir Vaz.
Good afternoon, Minister.
Afternoon to you guys. Afternoon to your listeners. Happy Friday to everybody. Have a safe weekend.
Good to hear from you, Minister. A long time in coming. When can we expect the rollout of these new penalties?
You know, it's actually quite coincidental because the PM was obviously speaking on the heels of the upcoming hurricane season and speaking about preparedness. And I don't think the PM realized that as early as Tuesday of next week in Parliament, I'll actually be carrying the Law Reform Amendment of Penalties Bill 2025, which is now going to, it was already tabled, and it's in the final process of debate. So at the end of Parliament on Tuesday, I expect that these new measures will actually have been approved to be implemented immediately. So it's quite coincidental that the PM was speaking on this matter, and of course it shows that his minister is doing his work because this is something that the telecoms providers have been absolutely crying out for since I became minister, and it's a long outstanding matter. But let me just point out that the aspect of it that you're dealing with as a result of the PM's speech, it goes much further than that because it deals with the providers and has sanctions for the providers. It has sanctions for persons who are acting in breach of the Telecoms Act, and all of these fines and sentences have been increased significantly, as I spoke before. But since it's going to be on Tuesday, I won't go into full details of it, but from where you are speaking in relation to the PM's thing in terms of interference of the telecom providers' equipment, etc., I can actually state that obviously the bill will cover this, and we're talking about increased in fines significantly. I'll give you an example. Under the Act, facilities includes wires, lines, pole sites, towers, satellites, earth stations, submarine cables, etc. The Act currently provides that a maximum fine of $500,000 and a maximum term of 3 years under this bill. The section is deleted and amended to provide that a person who commits an offense under this section shall be liable on summary conviction before a parish court to a fine not exceeding $3 million or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years. Also a fine not exceeding $5 million or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years in the case of any subsequent offense. So it means that as a first-time offender, you get a $3 million or a 3 year. Second-time offender, $5 million and a term not exceeding 5 years. It was better than that, because on conviction before a circuit court to a fine or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 15 years. So that in itself can show you that the breach or the action will have a severe reaction, and that I think will deter or give people an opportunity to think twice before they continue to do what they've been doing so blatantly and brazenly over the last decades.
Minister, you know there's a certain subculture in this country, they call it the eater food mentality, yeah? And some might be listening and saying, boy, companies like Flow and Digicel are big companies, and so, you thief a little wire from them, why the minister coming down so hard? I want you to describe for our listeners the kind of disruption that this kind of theft causes.
Well, the fact of the matter is sometimes the disruption is for zero, because they think that they are doing something and getting something valuable, when actually it is not valuable. And the downtime and the cost to the telecom companies and the cost to the economy, we have seen where the entire country has gone out. We have seen several times when the business sections of the corporate area and main townships are out, and it takes them not hours, but in some cases days. So it is a significant cost to the telecom provider. But more importantly, it's a cost to doing business, and it is a cost to the economy and the country at whole. And the fact of the matter is that we have got to make sure that the fines and the sentences equal the crime. And what has happened in the past, it hasn't. So there's no deterrent. And the fact is that we have gotten to the point of where we feel that this will be a significant deterrent. And hopefully persons will understand that we are serious, and the fact of the matter is that their action has a significant impact on the economy of Jamaica.
Minister, a fine is only an effective deterrent in our ability to prosecute it and enforce. What is the track record in terms of bringing the people who do this type of vandalism to justice?
So the fact is that they have had several arrests, and as I said before, there have been successful cases, but the penalties have been not anything that will give them a
they've been able to easily pay the penalty.
Absolutely, and go back to business as usual, and that's why, in terms of the quantity of the fine and the sentence,
And of course, if you're unable to pay the fine, then obviously automatically you're sentenced. So fact is that you have big players and you have small players. And if we just want to make sure that we have in place these new fines and these new regulations and penalties to make sure that we at least are equal to the crime in terms of a sanction.
And what about on the part of the providers? Can we expect some improvements in service and probably some improvements in terms of cost of service because of the crackdown?
So this particular bill doesn't deal with this. This is the amendment of the penalties, but obviously we have other things working on in terms of minimum standards, etc. To make sure that we hold the telecom companies to account. I'm still not satisfied, and it is well known. There are still too many complaints going, despite the fact that this is an issue for them. So I take that and accept that. But outside of that, there still is a dissatisfaction at the level of service and the quality of service. And I don't think that is something that can be argued. That is across the board and across the length and breadth of Jamaica. So I know that they are trying, but the fact of the matter is that we've got to get it up to the point of where the misery index, as I like to call it, is lessened, as I have done in other areas.
Minister Vaz, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
I will be speaking on Tuesday. The debate will be, obviously, we will have other contributors, but I expect full cooperation from both sides of the aisle in terms of this very, very significant law reform as it relates to penalties to equal the times and the crime.
We'll be listening. Thank you for your time, Minister.
All right, very good.
We'll take the break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by representatives of both Flow and Digicel.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 5:46.
Burn Shack fried chicken always ready. Burn Shack, original crispy. Burn Shack, Cajun spicy. Burn Shack, a barbecue. Burn Shack, we are going Burn Shack.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken in Kingston, Montego Bay, and Ochivios is...
It's 30 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston, and it's 30 out west in Montego Bay.
You're a VIP with CIBC Caribbean. Spend US $100 or local equivalent with your CIBC Visa credit card for your chance to win a crop over VIP experience in Barbados. An all expense paid trip for two, staying at the Courtyard by Marriott Hotel, cultural tours, and Aura experience with full glam makeup plus tickets to the hottest last lap events. Visit CIBC Caribbean /crop over 2025 for more info. Conditions apply.
This is an important announcement from the National Water Commission. Motorists and the public are advised that the westbound slip road adjacent to the 3 miles overpass on Spanish Town Road and Bell Road in the vicinity of the Texaco gas station will be closed to vehicular traffic starting at 10 a.m. on Saturday, June 7, 2025 until Sunday, June 8, 2025. Motorists are advised to use alternative routes. This temporary traffic disruption is necessary to facilitate excavation works by the National Water Commission. The public is assured that there should be no water supply disruptions unless unforeseen circumstances arise. The NWC apologizes for any inconvenience and appreciates the patience and understanding of motorists and the public. That was an important announcement from the National Water Commission.
Back with you on Nationwide at 5. We're discussing this matter of vandalism and how the government is responding. Significant fines are coming, as high as $5 million, to act as a deterrent for those involved in this practice. We have with us now the Head of Government and Regulatory Affairs at Flow, Charles Douglas, as well as the Legal and Regulatory Director at Digicel, Bjorn Spence. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Ricardo. Good afternoon, Siobhan, and good afternoon to your listeners.
All right, good afternoon. Bjorn Spence, let me start with you. Your reaction to the news that these stiffer penalties are coming?
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for having this conversation with us. And I'd like to say that Digital Jamaica fully welcomes and supports the government's move to increase penalties for tampering with telecommunications infrastructure. This legislation is a long overdue step to protect national digital infrastructure and ensure network stability and improve customer experience. So we do welcome this news. It's long overdue.
Mm-hmm. And Charles Douglas, give us a sense of the effect that the kind of downtime that we see when you all suffer this kind of theft, the effect it has on doing business, productivity, the economy.
It has a significant effect, negative effect that is. You have the loss of equipment, network, fiber that has to be replaced at a cost, quite significant. 2, you have the opportunity lost for businesses, for residents, enterprises that need the services to power their business. So the actual cost of replacement really pales in comparison to the effect of the service loss of opportunity impact on the economy. And if you add to that now customers' frustration, at the end of the day, all they really care about is the restoration of their service.
Right.
It matters not that it's due to malicious vandalism. They can understand that only for a time.
Mm-hmm.
And Bjorn Spence, how much of a disincentive is this to companies such as yours in terms of investing in the economy? I mean, customers obviously they want better service, they want more from their providers, but certainly when it comes to matters such as vandalism and theft, that impacts your ability to convince shareholders and investors to give more to the company.
Well, these acts do cause major disruptions and affect thousands of customers across homes, schools, and even businesses, as our counterparts stated. And we also have to think about, emergency services that are affected. Widespread interruptions undermine national connectivity and national security as well. So that's another reason why we do welcome the establishment of these new laws to act as a deterrent to further occurrence of vandalism on our property.
Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming, Bjorn, that you're not going to only be relying on this new law, but some additional steps have been taken by Digicel to secure your network. What are some of those steps that you've taken?
Well, for security reasons, we wouldn't want to disclose those steps, but we are always taking steps to invest in security, but to protect the infrastructure and the personnel that are able to support and protect this infrastructure. We'd rather not disclose that.
And I imagine it's the same for you, Charles?
Well, look, it's been such a chronic issue that you could think of all the different types of security measures, right? Whether it's big cameras, trackers, liaising with the police, dealing with private security, layers and layers, but it has not always mitigated the harm on the networks. And just to piggyback on the first question you asked about investing, right? The pedigree of Flow is that we've been here for 150 years. We're committed to the country. We're not going anywhere. We're still investing. But it does not in any way take away from how further along we could be and how much economic boost and prosperity we could be enjoying if we didn't have to be repeatedly replacing network in communities, and in some instances deciding that it cannot be replaced the number of times it has been vandalized and stolen. And I'd like to highlight another point is that at some point we're also going to have to draw a line in the sand, because we're going to see if these fines at the levels at which they're set will be effective. If you think about the acts that are impacted, you have the Malicious Injuries and Property Act, the Telecoms Act, you have the Larceny Act. In by way of an example, right? If we look at the Malicious Injuries to Property Act, we've moved from $4,000 for this kind of malicious effort in 2019 to $250,000, And now we're going via the Telecoms Act to get it to as much as 3 million in certain instances and 5 million. But we will have the opportunity to see its effect, and then we have to react based on whether it's adequate or not.
It sounds like you'd like to see
some of the
higher.
damage to the network is just slashing fiber maliciously. It's not theft, right? Sometimes you have to wonder if it's not even sabotage because of the kind of harm being made on the property with no benefit to anyone.
So they're not taking it; they're just cutting the wires.
Thousands of people out of service, right? So let's see. We welcome these new laws. We need to monitor it. We need to react as needed, and we're confident that the government and the minister will do so in the interest of national security, productivity, and creating the environment that we need in Jamaica.
It sounds like you'd like to see the fines higher, Charles, that you were hoping for perhaps higher levels.
Policy making is always incremental. Let's see what works. Let's support, and then let's react. It's welcome. It's long in coming. This is part of a sort of framework of things that we need to do. But in the age of digital transformation, we can say, telecoms networks, ICT networks are precious. They need to be protected. Aerial routes need to be protected. Underground routes need to be protected. Else we are going to not make as much progress as we ought to.
As part of the legislative changes that's bringing in these new fines, there's also some requirements now placed on you as we head into the new hurricane season as the telecoms provider. You would recall the last hurricane season when we had Beryl and Raphael. Things didn't quite work well. There was quite a bit of frustration on the part of the customers as well as the minister. How prepared are we going into this new hurricane season? I'll go put that to you, Bjorn, and then you, Mr. Douglas.
Well, thank you for that question. It's a very good one. And we have learned a lot from past hurricane season. We have put a lot of improvement. We have responded accordingly. This year, we have doubled our inventory on emergency equipment, such as mobile generators, satellite phones, and fuel reserves. We have also strengthened vulnerable cell sites and expanded our fiber optic redundancy routes to minimize service interruptions. Additionally, we have upgraded our network management systems, allowing for faster issue detection and response. So customer communication has also been a focus for us. We have, pre-store and advisories and streamline and update the system to keep customers informed in real time. So our business customers are also covered over a secure Tier 3 data center in St. Catherine that we've implemented, which is designed to withstand storm conditions and protect businesses business critical data and IT infrastructure via our cloud storage solutions. And this is just, a few of the things we have put in place. But, last year was a learning experience, and we are prepared to act, rapidly and quickly.
And you, Mr. Douglas?
And, we have done the same. We've been coordinating with Digicel, with JPS, in our response. We've done simulations, and we're making the network robust. I just want to say one thing that is worthy of noting, however, is that the design of the network in some communities is area, right? And were we to get a certain level of hurricane, as it was in the case in areas of St. Elizabeth, if the network is completely decimated, what took some time was the complete rebuild of the network. And if I may say so, I've understood that, JPS has, expressed similar point. So to the extent where we can put miles and miles of the network underground, we're doing that. But depending on the strength, we've done all the backups, all the resiliencies, the powers, the generators, the fuel arrangements, the inventory of equipment. But I just want you to understand, and the listeners to understand, that in areas where the complete rebuild of the network is required, sometimes it will take some time. That's not dereliction on our part. Mm-hmm. It's just a force of the nature of things and the cost of building a network, and a lot of it is area.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. Really appreciate it. Bjorn Spence is the Legal and Regulatory Director at Digicel, and Charles Douglas is the Head of Government and Regulatory Affairs at Flow Jamaica. Have a good afternoon. Appreciate your time.
Good afternoon.
All right. You know, Siobhan, I've always said that the kind of acts that we see when, these criminals attack the network, I consider it a form of terrorism, because of the number of people affected, as you rightly said, how it affects prospects for investments, how it affects productivity, business. It has to be an attack. It's an attack on people and also on the state itself.
This type of infrastructure attack would not be taken lightly in places such as the United States and the United Kingdom, because it has significant impacts on the development of the country.
Absolutely. I consider it a form of terrorism. So I actually welcome the fine of up to $5 million, and I would actually support it being more. Yeah? That's all the time we have for the cover story. The headlines are next.
Looking to rent a fully operational production studio? Then Nationwide 90 FM has got you covered. We have flexible options to meet your recording needs any day of the week. Monday to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays available upon request. Bookings must be made in advance. Call us today at 630-1210. Let us help you reach your production desires.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Dina Devi. President of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, Metri Siaga, says he still believes Dennis Chung is suited to hold the position of Chief Technical Director of the Financial Investigations Division, FID. He's responding to opposition leader Mark Golding, who criticized members of the private sector for throwing their support behind Chung's appointment. While addressing a PNP forum in St. James on Wednesday, Mr. Golding praised non-government groups who voiced their concerns about Mr. Chung's appointment as head of the FID. At the same time, he criticized members of the private sector who have spoken out in defense of Mr. Chung.
So this is a totally untenable situation, and I'm very happy that various non-government and non-political organizations have come forward and said this is untenable, this doesn't look right, it should not stand. And I'm very disappointed that there are some leaders in the private sector who seem to think there's nothing wrong with what has taken place. I suggest that they reconsider the matter and look at the facts, because it is absolutely clear and blatant that this appointment is totally inappropriate, untenable, and should not stand.
But Mr. Siaga maintains that Dennis Chung is an upstanding citizen fit for the job.
No, I have not changed my position. I still maintain that Mr. Chung is a decent, law-abiding citizen of Jamaica, and his comments regarding the Prime Minister's bank accounts, I don't see why that would in and of itself exclude him from serving in the position. I think Mr. Chung has been someone that has given his time and his effort to Jamaica and to serving on many boards in both administrations.
Metri Siaga, PSOJ President. Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake has revealed that the police are now able to use mathematical modeling to assist in disrupting gangs across the country. Dr. Blake made the revelation while addressing the inaugural JCF Mensa lecture in St. Andrew on Friday.
POSET, partially ordered set, is a subset of lattice theory, and it allows, it's a network, it deals with social network. Right? So what it does, it allows you to assess the probability of a network being broken given X number of members taken out. And so you can do it the other way around. If you want to guarantee a 65% that a gang is dismantled, the tool will tell you how many of any member, any node that you need to have in your custody. And it defines what broken is, when their communication cannot take place from the top to the line staff.
Dr. Kevin Blake, Police Commissioner. The Mensa lecture aims to infuse intellectual rigor to policing and security in Jamaica. It forms part of the JCF's ongoing transformation initiative. The initiative is focused on fusing technology, human resources, and planning and logistics to boost security outcomes. The Commissioner spoke to multiple improvements in infrastructure, bail management, and license plate detection and database systems. Dr. Blake says the gang control model has allowed the police to accurately report on gang activity island-wide. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says the build-out of the Jamaica Eye monitoring centers is meant to make policing easier and law enforcement more effective. He was speaking on Thursday at the commissioning of the Jamaica Eye monitoring center at the Denham Town Police Station in Kingston.
We think it will be very useful and will make the police work much easier, add to our effect as a police force, and really give greater confidence and trust in the work of the police. It's part of the wider sustained investment, of course, to modernize how we approach law enforcement, crime prevention, and public safety across Jamaica. Prevention is what we desire, but enforcement we will effect through the police as we enforce. And we are confident as we improve our efficiency in enforcement, of course, prevention will increase. It is, of course, aligned with all our goals of broad national goals, and through this and other initiatives, we are providing our police officers with the tools to get the job done.
Meanwhile, Dr. Chang says the National Closed Circuit Television Master Plan will see the installation of 2,500 more CCTV cameras across the country over the next 3 years.
We are looking at a national program. We already made a decision to acquire an additional 2,500 cameras over the next, we have said 3 years, but we're looking at maybe even a shorter time. But it does take time to not only procure, but to install cameras, see that they're working properly, and get the entire system working effectively before you kind of move to the next one and next one. And you install 2,500 cameras simultaneously, not only costly, but when anything go wrong, you get the bang. You do it in a systematic way. We now have 9 mounting centers of today. We'll be establishing a few more mounting centers until we get to a point where we cover the island and that the center will have feedback from all across the island. It's a very effective means of strengthening the hand of the police and ensuring that we can in fact deal with those who are criminally inclined.
Dr. Horace Chang, Minister of National Security. And Energy Minister Darrell Vaz says 180,000 households island-wide are still not connected to the legal electricity grid. He revealed the figure while speaking at the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS's electrification fair in St. Anne on Friday.
So if your neighbor don't want to sign up but still want to throw up, the good is going to suffer for the bad. So you must be your brother's keeper and your sister's keeper and encourage them to do the right thing, because I don't want them to say JPS wicked, our government wicked. We are doing everything to facilitate you, the citizens in St. Anne and all across Jamaica, to have this done. 180,000 Jamaican households. That is what remains without access to the national grid. And this is a challenge that my ministry and its partners are determined to overcome, ensuring that all households are connected legally and sustainably.
Darrell Vaz, Minister of Energy. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Dana Davey. Sports is next.
Are you looking for a place where your imagination can blossom into something amazing? Where you can be as creative as you dare, with facilitators who will prepare you to succeed in a global career? Or maybe you're looking for a place that practices tertiary level education in a practical way? Then you belong at the Vocational Training Development Institute, VTDI. Become the best you can be. You belong here. VTDI, empowering people, transforming lives.
The National Stadium is the place to be on Saturday, June 7, when a glittering cast of global stars execute their pet events at the 7th staging of the Racers Grand Prix. The stunning lineups include Olympic silver medalist Kishane Thompson, Rashid Broadbell, Oblique Seville, National Junior record holder Bawaji and Krumi, schoolboy sensation Gary Card, Zarnell Hughes, Christopher Taylor, national champion DeAndre Watkins, the fast rising Zandrian Barnes, and Trey Cunningham. Check out the women's side where some titanic names are listed, including world champion Sharika Jackson, Shashali Forbes, Natasha Morrison, Favor Ofili, Karika Hill, Sade Williams, and Stacey Ann Williams. Admission finish line $5,000, regular grandstand $3,000, bleachers free until May 31. After that, it's only $1,000. Get your tickets online now at racersgrandprix.com and the Jamaica Pegasus from June 2 to 6. The action promises to be nothing less than sensational.
Taste it, eat it, drink it, applaud it. The 26th staging of the Jamaica Observer Table Talk Food Awards, the Caribbean's premier culinary event, powered by MasterCard, takes place Thursday, June 26th on the East Lawns of King's House. Get your tickets at Starbucks at AC Marriott, Starbucks Ligony, Starbucks Waterloo, Signature Boutique, Unit 9, Legal Business Centre, 31 Upper Waterloo Road, Uncorked 2, Constant Spring Road, Uncorked Barbican, Sovereign North, Uncorked Ochi, Draxhall, Uncorked West, Fairview Shopping Centre, Resort Way by Ereline, Shop 4 Progressive Shopping Centre, Kingston, Cafe Dolce, 114 Constant Spring Road, Kingston, Fromage Bistro, 8 Hillcrest Avenue, Kingston, and of course the offices of the Jamaica Observer in Kingston and Montego Bay. Adults 18 years and over. Drink responsibly.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alex Webby. We bowl things off with some cricket as Shea Hope's debut as West Indies T20 captain ended on a losing note as the two-time world champion suffered a 21 runs defeat to England in Durham in the opening game of their three-match series. England won the toss and decided to take first turn at bat and posted 188 for 6 in their allotted overs. Josh Butler led the way with a cracking 96 off 81 balls with 6 fours and 4 sixes. He was supported by Jamie Smith 38 and Jacob Bethel 23 against Romario Shepherd, who bagged 2 for 33. The Windies couldn't cope with the England bowling attack and were restricted to 167 for 9. Evan Lewis top scored with 39 and Roston Chase 24 as Liam Dawson in his first game in England in 4 years ended with a 4 for 20 and a 2 each for Matthew Potts and Bethel. Hope says the West Indies batting is a powerful one, but they must quickly get up to speed with the England spinners.
A lot of teams like to throw a spin at the West Indies. It's just something that we're aware of. We just need to get better, just quite frank. As a batting unit, we've got so much depth in that batting unit. We're so powerful, so destructive. And it's just one day break. We've got to ensure that we pick ourselves up, put this one behind us. And we have 2 more games to win the series, so we've got to look forward.
Shea Hope. The second game in the series will be played on Sunday. West Indies women all-rounder Janelia Glasgow says they want to end their tour of England on a high when both teams meet in the third and final ODI at the Cooper Associates County Ground on Saturday. The host won Game 1 by 108 runs, followed by a 143 runs victory in the second match. Glasgow says they are not concerned about batting at or fielding first.
It's a flat wicket, but some good pace it will come on, and this is something we all like. I think most of us love the pace, and coming on and the starting, I think we'll have a good start whether we bat or bowl first. We have played 5 games already, so I don't think it should be a matter between myself or the rest of the girls whether we bat or bowl. We just have to come prepare and end on a high note.
Janelia Glasgow. Meanwhile, West Indies women's captain Hayley Matthews will be unavailable for selection due to injury. Matthews was previously ruled out of the second ODI at Leicester with a left shoulder injury that was aggravated by a fall in the fielding during the opening ODI. The 27-year-old travelled to London on Thursday to consult a specialist. Coach of St. Catherine CC Odin Brown says his players are ready to take on Kensington CC in the final of the 2-day Michael Holding Senior Cup cricket competition at Ultimate Cricket Ground in Discovery Bay starting on Saturday. Kensington booked their place in the final after beating Clarendon CA in semi-final 2 on first innings points, while St. Catherine advanced after beating last year's winners Kingston CC also on first innings. Brown says he'll be without several of his first team players.
We put in the work to be here, so we're looking forward to it. The boys are ready to go. I must say that we lost a lot of players from our team, but we have players that can come in and do the job. They have other engagements, so I'm going overseas going to play.
He says the formula for victory is simple.
Just be consistent, do the basic, remain patient. We have something that's going with us, which is momentum. We play the game with momentum, and stick to the plan, show the game. That they're playing some good cricket, but in terms of personality, I don't know much about them, and we tend to focus on what we can do as a team.
Odin Brown. Now to track and field as Shanika Ricketts ticked off her second straight victory on the current Wonder Diamond League circuit with a season's best performance in the women's triple jump in Rome on Friday. The Olympic silver medalist from Paris landed the event with 14.64 meters, slightly behind the 14.72 she did to win in Doha, Qatar on May 16. The other Jamaican winner in the Italian capital came in the women's 400 meters hurdles as Antoinette Knight stormed to victory in 53.67 seconds. Fellow Jamaicans Rochelle Clayton and Cheyenne Salmon were third and seventh in 54.31 and 55.47 seconds respectively. Olympic bronze medalist Rajendra Campbell had to settle for third in the men's shot put with 21.64 meters. Tom Walsh of New Zealand won with 21.89 meters. Kieran McLeod was fifth in the men's long jump with 8.01 meters, while in the men's sprint hurdles, Orlando Bennett clocked a season's best 13.29 seconds for fourth, while Omar McLeod was eighth in 13.58 seconds. In the men's 100 meters, Trayvon Bramell of the United States ran a world-leading 9.84 seconds. Now to footballers. Coach of the senior reggae girls, Steve McLaren, is calling on the Jamaican diaspora in the British Virgin Islands to come out in their numbers when both teams clash in the CONCACAF World Cup qualifier on Saturday. This will be the second meeting between the two teams. The last time both teams met was in the 1994 Caribbean Cup, with the boys coming away 12-0 winners. McLaren says the main aim is to come away with all 3 points.
Preparation for this game in Guatemala, 2 huge games for us, and the goal is 1, to win the game, and 2, it'd be nice to apparently there's 1,000 Jamaicans living on this island. It'd be nice if all of them turned up and watched the reggae boys.
He was diplomatic in assessing the quality of his opponents.
We've watched games, and to watch one live, as it happened so close to this game was a good advantage. We looked at them. I think certainly with the new coach they've got, they're trying to play football and trying to do it the right way, and I commend them for that. And they, I know they got beat, but it was a close game and it was a tight game, and BVI have got players who can play football and they can score. Dangerous on set pieces, and we have to be very wary. We have to be focused, ruthless, and make sure that we get the 3 points.
Steve McLaren. Now leaders Fraser's Whip will start favourites when they take on Springers United, who sits at the foot of the table in the Jamaica Women's Premier League at Excelsior High on Saturday. Meanwhile, Wi-Fi United play Federal United at Carter Park. Arnett Gardens welcome UWI Women at Tony Spalding Complex. Cavalier tussle with Proven Girls at Alpha Boys Home, and Real Mabay play Los Perfectos at Jarrett Park. All games start at 3:30 p.m. Now to volleyball, as Wolmers are the Issa All-Ireland Under-15 schoolboy volleyball champions. The Hewer Circle-based school lift the trophy after beating Knox College 21-17 in the final at G.C. Foster College on Thursday. Wolmers, after losing to Knox in the first round earlier in the day, were more composed when it mattered most. They beat Orakabesta 18-11 in the semifinals, while Knox stopped Papine 18-15. Knox did not manage their service game well in the championship game and paid the price. On the other hand, Wolmers were efficient with their serving, and it made the ultimate difference in what was a competitive tournament. Coach of Wolmers, O'Neil Banks, says his players grew in confidence as the tournament went on.
We lost our first opening game to Knox College, who we played in the final, and I think that the confidence grew throughout the day. We went through to the quarterfinal, we won our quarterfinal, we won the semifinal, and then to the final. So the final was where I told them that this is where you put everything else on the court. You put everything out. You just have to play 1 point at a time. And that's what they did, and I have to really commend them for it. They served consistently. We had a few serving errors. Our MVP, Justin, he was very smart in terms of his play. We made sure to have him in the game, not to really have him in every play, but when it comes and when it matters, we get him involved.
O'Neal Ebanks. Third place went to Aura Cabeza, who beat Papin 18-17. Now to tennis, as top seed Yannick Sinner teed up the French Open final against Carlos Alcaraz that many expected after edging past Novak Djokovic in a tense last four contest. Italy's Sinner won 6-4, 7-5, 7-6 to end Djokovic's hopes of winning a standalone record 25th Grand Slam title. Djokovic looked emotional as he put his racket bags down and waved farewell to an adoring crowd. Defending champion Alcaraz moved into his second successive Roland Garros final after 8th seed Lorenzo Musetti retired injured in the fourth set of their semifinal earlier on Friday. Sinner, playing only in his second tournament back after a 3-month ban for failing 2 doping tests, meets the Spanish second seed on Sunday. And finally, the United States is gearing up to host the world's 2 biggest sporting events in the next 3 years, the 2026 FIFA World Cup and the 2028 Olympic Games. They are events which ordinarily see a host nation attract hundreds of thousands of visitors from across the globe. So will a new travel ban issued by US President Donald Trump have an impact on the tournaments? And what about the ban's effect on the wider world of sport? President Trump says the policy places full restrictions on citizens of 12 countries entering the United States, as well as partial constraint on 7 others as part of an immigration crackdown he says is needed over security threats.
I directed the Secretary of State to perform a security review of high-risk regions and make recommendations for where restrictions should be imposed. Among the national security threats their analysis considered are the large-scale presence of terrorists, failure to cooperate on visa security, inability to verify travelers' identities, inadequate record-keeping of criminal histories, and persistently high rates of illegal visa overstays, and other things. Very simply, we cannot have open migration from any country where we cannot safely and reliably vet and screen those who seek to enter the United States.
U.S. President Donald Trump. However, the order contains an exemption that could apply to participants in the 2026 FIFA World Cup and the 2028 Olympics. Organizers of the Los Angeles 2028 Olympics says they have great confidence that the ban will not disrupt the Summer Games or the preparation for them. Section 4 of the travel ban includes a clear exemption for sports stars traveling to those competitions and other major sporting events. I'm Alric Swiby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:21.
At Kia, driving your future means joining the movement that inspires. Whether it's the small but mighty Picanto hatchback or the top-of-the-line tech-rich Sorento SUV, there's a Kia that perfectly fits your lifestyle and your budget. ATL Automotive has gotten Jamaicans behind the wheels of thousands of Kias for the past 7 years. And we're ready to get you behind the wheel of a Kia too. Simply visit the nearest Kia showroom for a test drive now.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid-tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
This Father's Day, escape to the Pampered Temple for ultimate relaxation. Adam and Eve Day Spa. All treatments are infused to melt your tension and remove stress. Pampered Dad with a massage, facial, body treatment, and mani-pedi. Unwind at Adam and Eve and enjoy complimentary Pure Country juices and Johnny Walker. But now at www.adamandevedayspaja.com. Purchase gift certificates. Call 876-754-6017 or WhatsApp 876-567-2142 for details.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited.
industrial automation, and control solutions.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands, cause it's Friday. Good evening and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Roby Ann Williams. If you're seeing me, you see that I'm clapping because it's Friday. Yeah. A special good evening to our friends over on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We invite you to weigh in live in the comment section on today's Public Opinion. Did I say it's Friday? Yes, it's Friday. And you know what we do on a Friday? We kind of take it down a notch from all the hard-hitting news. So this Friday, we're diving into the world of imagination. Yeah, and we're asking a question that sparked a full-on conversation in our newsroom earlier. So we're going to ask you, if you could have one superpower, what would it be and why? Would you be flying above the traffic? Because we know Kingston is a parking lot and we know some other areas, especially the towns, them jam-pack, turn invisible. I think maybe invisible, maybe for me, you know? Yeah, could sneak away from work. Maybe you would heal the sick, or some would want to read minds. Whatever it is, we want to know. So, in Public Opinion this evening, we're asking, if you could have one superpower, just one, what would it be and why? I'm going to start with the comments on our Facebook platform. Fitz Mattis is saying, that superpower, one power would be to command over events to ensure harmonious conditions for happiness, peace, and comfort to prevail amongst all people across the world. Sounds like world peace. Fabian Smith says, the Flash. He wants to be the Flash. He'll be able to run fast to anywhere. But, if you're a Flash, you don't really need vehicles still, Use your foot then. Elarita Michelle says, bad mind, ungrateful, and laziness. They're destructive character traits. It creates loads of problems in homes and the society. So you'd want to rid people, Elarita, of bad mind, ungrateful, and laziness. Okay. Let me see. Nikki Becky says time travel, and I didn't think about this one. Nikki Becky, superpower would be time travel, and she says, I would go back in time to spend time with my mom and two sisters. Wow, they died 2013, 2018, 2022, and she misses them so much. I never thought about time travel, but indeed, yes. Kevin O'Neill is saying to end all types of violence in the world. If we have a world without violence, all countries would flourish. Okay. Carlington Bartley, hear what him want now. Carlington want an anti-aging superpower. And he says, I love my youth. All right, Daphne McCreath. The power to influence all who killing people to stop and kill themselves instead. Wow. Yeah, okay, Daphne. Vivian Hanchard says, I already have a superpower, the omnipotent God, the great I am. I need not explain why I know he is. All right. CJ, the power to influence the future. Anthony Shake says, I wish I had the power to remove all the mischievous. Okay, gone over in our politics now, but all the mischievous PNP representatives from the House. All right, CJ is saying something similar. Naomi Douglas is saying she would like the power to influence youth in the right direction. One superpower would you want and why? Natalie saying wishful thinking and fantasy world. Please check your shrink for information. Okay. Michelle Bernard, to bring back my two sisters. Wow. Kirk Henriquez says the gift of youth. He would want the gift of youth. For Shawnee Reynolds to turn back the hands of time so he could give some people a second chance to do good. Not bad at all. Shins for Life Law says to prevent sickness, violence, death, and poverty. Yeah. Nicola Nicholson to ensure every Jamaican educated and able to think for themselves and can't be influenced by politics. Let me see. Eunice Anderson is saying to be a judge because some of these pedophiles would be electrocuted. Wow, immediately. If you could have one superpower, what would it be and why? The Power to Heal says, I Dunkley official on Instagram. Kashif Edwards saying the power to read minds. Many people want to read minds, but I watched a movie one time where this one person had the power to read everybody's mind, and it was just so chaotic in the person's head. I don't know. I don't think I'd want that. Diane says the power to heal all sickness. Yeah. Including the big C. HM Queen says the power to read minds and to be able to change the thinking of mankind. G Money to heal the world from illness. IB says she wants to be invisible so she can stay out of people's way. Yeah. Leah, that should be Lethal Man, the power to make any woman fall in love with me. Okay. that one is new. Yeah, that one is new. I never expected that one. Lethal Man wants the power to make any woman fall in love with him. Be very careful about that, Be careful. The power to be invisible says it's Lady Cutchinson. Let me see if I can go on over to our YouTube platform to see what our YouTubers are saying. If you could have one superpower, what would it be and why? Yeah? Let me see if I can get in a few of the comments coming up. All right, so the comments are coming in as we speak. I'm awaiting for them to, for me to see some comments that are related. All right, so I would want the superpower of invisibility. You could be anywhere. And maybe to teleport. I'd want to teleport too. Go anywhere, travel all over the world. The superpower to teleport, that's major. That's major. I'd want to teleport. Would you not, Bugs? Bugs, what would you want? Oh, yes, teleport. God, I can't say that one. All right, yeah, so invisibility and teleporting for me. I know they said one, but invisibility and to teleport. Samuel Gale says, I would use my power to get people to turn their lives over to God. Yeah, turn their lives over to God. Brick Road saying the power to catch all pedophiles. Yeah, wow. To bring back my mom and grandma and grandpa, says Petrona Smith. Bad Boy Official says he would want super speed, and he says it would make the most sense in Jamaica as you can reach crime really fast, and plus it technically come with a bonus superpower, which is time stop. Yeah? Okay. Let me see if I can get a few more in. To resurrect my husband, says Ursuline Bowen. Wow. McHugh is agreeing with me to say teleport. Definitely teleport. Let me see. Marcus the Best saying, what woman want? Lord of mercy. Okay, all right. Imagine you having woman thoughts bouncing around in your head. Wow, yeah. Miss Chin, the power to make the whole world literate. That's not a bad one. It's a very good one, man. But then somebody in our newsroom, I think, said that. And then somebody else said, oh, but imagine if everybody did bright. Yeah, I don't know. Garvin says, power of invisibility. Don't think I want to say what I would do. I'm intrigued. Let me see. Tari is also saying teleportation because it could unlock the key to the other superpowers, don't it? It could unlock the key to other superpowers. Janeth is saying to let humans have love like how God made it to be and care for each other. Yeah. For real. Same thing says Orinthia Campbell, to have love for each other. Seems like love is lacking these days. I once listened to a video earlier, and I heard a man saying that it looked like the love gone. The love that was once, it kind of lift up. Yeah, all right, so let me see if I can get in a few more. Think about it. If you had the invisibility superpower, right? You could go anywhere. You could be anywhere. Also with having to teleport. You could go anywhere. You could travel. Yeah. Alex Smith says, I would want time travel to know who and Mark. Wow, Alec. Run up in that one day. To control time, says Sean Dixon. To control time. Yeah. Healing people and removing poverty, says Coffee Jam 1. Yeah. Shermure is saying the power to destroy evil. We will live in perfection. Love will rule. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for participating in our public opinion. I got you to go in your imagination and just think about what you would do if we had superpowers. Yeah. The business report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:33. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Speaking at the recently held company's annual general meeting at the Rock Hotel, Jamaica Producers Group, JPG, Managing Director Jeffrey Hall confirmed that the 2023 landmark amalgamation with Panjam Investment Limited to form the Pan Jamaica Group Limited, that's PJG, yes, continued to have positive returns. In its 2024 audited financial statements, JPG reported net profit attributable to shareholders of $1.6 billion, supported by robust earnings from its stake in PJG. This result compares favorably to the normalized 2023 profit of $1.36 billion, representing an 18% year-over-year improvement in core earnings. The group's total assets rose to 38.1 billion Jamaican dollars, while shareholders' equity increased to $37.4 billion. India's central bank has lowered interest rates by a deeper than expected 0.5%, the third cut in a row, amid falling inflation and lower growth in Asia's third largest economy. It also increased the amount of liquidity or supply of money available in the system. The repo rate, the level at which the central bank lends money to commercial banks, influencing borrowing costs for home and car loans, now stands at 5.5%, the lowest in 3 years. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 160 Jamaican dollars and 45 cents to buy $1 US, 217 Jamaican dollars and 9 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 118 Jamaican dollars and 74 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jack on my figure, dig the wall. Our total tools. Weed walk a figure, trim the lawn. We have everything your job demand. Total tools. We rent them, sell them, and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jackson, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come on, let's go back in time.
This magic moment
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
This is to advise that on Sunday, June 8, 2025, the Mayor's Parlor will begin at 12:30 p.m. We do apologize for any inconvenience caused.
Exciting news! The Design Studio on Nationwide 90 FM just got a whole lot bigger. Join us this and every Saturday now from 1 to 3 p.m. for an exclusive show that elevates your home, mind, and soul. Discover the latest interior design trends to create your dream sanctuary. Unlock your true potential with personal growth strategies. Nourish your body and spirit with expert wellness tips. Don't miss out on the inspiration you need to live your best life. Tune in to the Design Studio this and every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. and take the first step towards a more fulfilling you.
Make me sweat, make me harder.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
6:40 on the clock. That means it's time for the nation's business here inside Nationwide at 5 this Friday afternoon. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Well, listeners, the Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ, in collaboration with the Portmore and Spanish Town Municipal Corporations, is undertaking a property tax special enforcement operation this month. The Deputy Commissioner General in charge of operations at TAJ, Dave Jeffrey, says the goal is for delinquent property owners to settle their arrears.
According to the TAJ, this operation will be targeting residents in Caribbean Estate and Phoenix Park Phase 1 in Portmore from June 6 to 8. Additionally, it will conduct operations in Angels Estate, Angels Grove, Frenchman's Heights, and Green Acres in Spanish Town from June 27 to 29. The TAJ notes that after September 30, 2025, it will take enforcement action against residents in the impacted communities with unpaid property taxes.
Now, the authority is saying it will explore options such as garnishing residents' salaries and bank accounts, seizing their motor vehicles and placing liens on their properties. The TAJ is encouraging all delinquent property owners to make outstanding payments to avoid enforcement action. The authority further notes that data from a similar operation conducted in Cornwall Court's Montego Bay revealed that as of March 31, the compliance rate surged to 71%. This is an increase from an historically low level of under 22%. The Deputy Commissioner General in charge of operations at TAJ, Dave Jeffrey, joins us now. Good evening, Mr. Jeffrey.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for having me, and special good evening to your listeners.
Welcome. Let me start by asking you, what's the compliance rate across the areas that you're targeting?
Right. So it's pretty low, under 25%, with Caribbean Estate about 21% and Phoenix Park about 24%. So combined rate between both is under 25%. Yeah.
I'm surprised to hear that, Mr. Jeffrey. I understood that Portmore was one of the best in terms of tax compliance rates in the country.
Well, unfortunately, the numbers are not showing that. Unfortunately, we're not getting persons paying as we would like to. And so these are the numbers we're seeing. Yeah.
This note here surprised me. The authority says it will explore options such as garnishing residents' salaries and bank accounts, seizing their motor vehicles and placing liens on their properties.
Yes,
I'm not sure a lot of Jamaicans knew the TAJ could do that. Could you talk to us some more about that?
Of course. So TAJ has what we call a compliance continuum, meaning that at the one end, we really start with a low approach, a very soft approach to compliance. And that involves just having a discussion with you, trying to just get you compliant, you know. So we start with servicing of notices, like what we'll be doing in the communities, and we started today. Just that house-to-house visit, just to serve you a reminder to let you know that your taxes are outstanding and so on. But at the other end of the continuum, which is where the enforcement does happen, when we are not getting the response, when you're not responding to these soft approach, you know, to come in and speak with us, to have these discussions, then the legislation, the law does allow us to do those things. And certainly that's not what we want to do. It's at the very extreme cases that we do those type of compliance actions, such as garnishing and levying on properties. That's certainly not what we want to do. And so we want you to come in and talk to us. You know, if you're having difficulty paying, you know, come and have a conversation with us. Let us work out a payment plan. So, you know, we are starting with the soft approach, and that's where we want it to be.
And when you start at the level one, I'm imagining you've had conversations so far with the residents of these areas. What's the feedback like?
Well, very good. We started today, for example, in both communities, both Caribbean Estate and Phoenix Park. And we have just been going out. We had over 55 persons out, our staff, between TAJ and the municipalities, out in the field today, just going house to house. And the responses have been very good. I was over there myself, even spoke to one resident. She really appreciated the fact we came out. She came by our tax unit, our mobile unit, to make her payment, and just show some appreciation for the fact that we have come out to speak with them. So we have been getting some good feedback. And we are looking forward now for over the weekend when more persons should be home.
And I noticed that it is the tax compliance concern seems to fall within these large-scale developments where you have multiple residents and multiple homes. Do you find that it is a very unique issue in terms of those areas where you have a lot of these suburban families now starting up where their tax compliance is not quite where it should be?
Yes. It's and it's also a little concerning because in a lot of these communities there are persons that the statistics is showing us can afford to pay and should pay. And not just that, but the amounts that are owing. So if I share with you, for example, in Caribbean Estate, the average property tax per year ranges between $7,450 to $15,250. That's the average property tax.
So not an exorbitant amount.
No, it's not. In Phoenix Park, for example, it ranges between $6,850 to $11,050. So there are not large amounts that are due every year and to be paid. And so we are a little surprised that residents of those communities are not on board in paying their property taxes, and hence by this intervention.
So what do they usually suggest is the reason behind their lack of payment? I'm assuming if it's not the cost, is it convenience? What is the issue?
Well, if I probably should just go by a resident I spoke to today, and I'm quite happy that she came out just to speak with us when she came. It's convenient, although this is a tax type that can be paid online, can be paid using our mobile app. You don't even have to come into our office. You can just use the and pay virtually. For them, what I'm picking up is a little bit of convenience. They don't want to come to a tax office to join the line, or they just slip them in pain. We're not quite able to put our fingers on it, but it's really concerning. And but what we are happy to say, though, that the persons we have been speaking with when we go out in the community, they are saying thanks for this reminder, thanks for letting us know we're coming to pay. So for today, for example, it wasn't too bad. We had over 121 persons who came out in Caribbean Estate to our mobile unit to pay. So we collected a little over $1.2 million. And for Phoenix Park, we had some 98 persons who came out. We collected a little over $613,000. So once we start going around and, having those discussions and those conversations, persons are warming up to it and they are coming out to pay. And as I said, we're expecting that to get even better over the weekend.
On that point Siobhan raised of convenience, use this opportunity to explain to our listeners what are some of the more convenient ways that the TAJ has available for people to ensure that they meet their tax obligations.
Certainly. So they complain of going to tax office to join a line. Certainly can't be one, because you can pay via our website, jamaicatax.gov.jm. You can pay using our mobile app, which I spoke of earlier. You could just download it from the Google Play Store and use our app to pay. For many persons who use their bank, NCB Online and Scotia Online, you can use those to pay. And so many persons would have used those to pay their utilities, for example, your light and water and so on. There is a drop-down option there for TAJ. You can use it to pay those. And then, of course, the mobile collection unit that we have going around. So there are several options. And, of course, the last one is coming to the tax office. There are several options to pay your taxes without even have to venture out into a tax office.
And for those residents who do not meet that September 30th deadline, what would be the anticipation in terms of when the enforcement actions will be taken by the TAJ?
Yes. So we're saying to you, don't wait until that time, because as I outlined the compliance continuum earlier on, what will be coming next now by that time is summonses. Summonses for court. And half the Jamaican, or I would say 90% of all Jamaicans I know don't like to go to court, or probably all. Nobody wants to go to court. So you want to avoid those summonses. You want to avoid court actions. And certainly you want to avoid now a garnishment being placed on your income, your bank account, or those type of things. And to the very rare extreme of a lien on your property to be so. So you want it by September 30 to ensure that you would have make some payment, enter into an arrangement to pay, make some contact, do something, in terms of settling your outstanding liabilities.
And just for the avoidance of doubt, Mr. Jeffrey, you're saying if somebody is in arrears and they can't pay all of it at once, the TAJ is willing to accommodate them in some kind of payment plan, payment system?
More than willing. Just come and have a sit down and talk with us. Come by our command centers tomorrow and just sit and talk with us. We work out something with you. Come by our office. Just don't delay paying. We can work out a payment with you and have you get going. So that's what we want. And we did that when we did it in Montego Bay, and you read it earlier on. Mm-hmm. We saw the compliance rate going up to 71%. And we anticipate that this will happen. Because as I said before, we don't think that persons don't want to pay the property taxes, honestly, from what we're seeing. We just think that, persons just wasn't being responsive you know, and knowing that this was an outstanding obligation.
And on that point of what happened in St. James Cornwall courts, that 71% compliance rate that you saw, the increase, has that held since it hit that mark?
Yes, it has held, and persons have been paying since, and we're looking at that number continuing.
Yeah.
Of course, what we did, and to ensure that there's follow-up, so we're still following up with a number of persons who have made payment arrangements, who have probably default on it. We're still having those discussions, you know, and so that has held, and we are confident that it can happen again with these communities that we are now visiting.
What do you credit for the significant increase from 22% to 71%?
It's just
what changed?
It is our effort, the efforts that we made. And as I said before, I want to really just thank the local municipalities who have partnered with us. They have been there with us. We have gone out with our town criers, advising the persons we are coming. We have gone house to house, knock on each door, having those discussions, those one-on-one discussions, and so on. And I have to put this in because, you know, they say that, you know, encouragement sweeten labor. We haven't gone now to even do a congratulatory letter. So for that 21% and 24% of persons who have paid, when our team come out to your door, if you're one of those persons who have paid, we have a congratulatory letter for you, along with a little token in that envelope to say to you, we have acknowledged your payment, your full payment, and we want to thank you for paying and for contributing to nation building. So we're not just out for persons to pay, we're also congratulating and saying thanks to those who have paid. And I think that's a soft touch, that's the personal touch that we have added to this, and why persons have been on board and see the need to be paid. And it has been working.
And looking more island-wide, Mr. Jeffrey, what is the average compliance rate, and where have you found it to be highest and lowest?
Yeah. So it falls below 50%. We have basically two major or core areas. So we have the large tracts of land, large acreage, which makes up a significant portion of the inventory. And then, of course, now you have residential, for example, some of these schemes and so on. So we're finding a similar amount of outstanding amounts of both those two categories. Persons with large tracts of land, some of them are agricultural land, some of them are, you know, lands persons owned. And of course now with residential, where we have some of the greatest issues, though, is some of the gated communities, with our staff being able to access them and being able to make contact with some of those persons. And so when we come to Kingston, that's an issue we're going to have. And we are working on a strategy to be able to go out and to meet those persons. So I would say it's on in both categories that we're having the issue. But the initiatives that we're now doing, we're looking by 26, 27 to be seeing a higher compliance rate of property tax. And the local municipalities, as I said before, have been on board with us, and we are quite grateful for that.
Yeah. Dave Jeffrey, the Deputy Commissioner General in charge of operations at TAJ. Thank you so very much. And for persons who want to reach out to the TAJ and who may not have contact numbers, how do they reach out?
Yes, so as I said, you could go online at www.jamaicatax.gov.jm. I don't have any direct numbers for you here right now. Most of our numbers are hug phones. You're asking for numbers, right?
Yeah, well, that's fine. They can go online at TAJ. All right. Just repeat the website for me again.
Yes. There's a jamaicatax.gov.jm.
All right.
www.jamaicatax.gov.jm. And you can go and check out. And by the way, like tomorrow, for example, not just paying, let's say you want to do an inquiry about that. You may have a piece of land in the country somewhere you want to pay for a relative. we can give information such as the valuation number and folio number and all of that. So it's not just to those communities. If you plan on paying for other places or other areas for relatives and so on, come and talk to us, and we'll be quite willing to speak with you.
Dave Jeffrey, the Deputy Commissioner General in charge of operations at Tax Administration Jamaica. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
All right, have a good one. All right, so if you know you owe the property tax them, let me remind you of the areas. Angels Estate, Angels Grove, Frenchman's Heights, Green Acres in Spanish Town, Caribbean Estate, and Phoenix Park Phase 1 in Portmore. Time to get in touch with the TAJ. It's time for your calls. The numbers 630-9371-4, 618-8255.
You're a VIP with CIBC Caribbean. Spend US $100 or local equivalent with your CIBC Visa credit card for your chance to win a crop over VIP experience in Barbados. An all expense paid trip for two. Staying at the Courtyard by Marriott Hotel. Cultural tours and Aura experience with full glam makeup plus tickets to the hottest last lap events. Visit CIBC Caribbean /crop over 2025 for more info. Conditions apply.
We can light up your world with the rays of the sun, putting pure energy in the palm of your hand.
For over 20 years, Fosrich has been putting a world of energy in your hands. Now we bring you big savings with our line of solar energy products and LED lighting. Financing now available for all your home and commercial retrofit projects. Consult with our in-house staff or certified professional engineers for all your electrical needs. Fosrich Lifestyle. It's electric. Fosrich, your energy world.
You've led teams, built businesses, and influenced change. Now, lead research that transforms your field. Apply now for the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean's Doctor of Business Administration or Doctor of Professional Practice. Flexible, research-based, and designed for working professionals. All UCC programs are accredited by the University Council of Jamaica. Learn more and apply online at ucc.edu.jm. UCC, fostering leadership and innovation.
Alric, you're up first. Good evening.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Siobhan.
Evening, Alric.
How are you?
Doing all right.
All right. Leaving the Jamaican shores this afternoon because I've been following the last couple of days what's been happening up north. And Ricardo, you know I love to discuss that president with you.
Mm-hmm.
Him and the great Elon must have a big fallout now. The relationship lasted long, man.
So I see the Americans saying.
What was that, Ricardo?
So I see the Americans saying that they're surprised how long it lasted.
Then, Ricardo and Siobhan, especially you, Ricardo, you know me love to take care about Donald Trump. You don't think it lasts too long?
No, I think it was a relationship of convenience in many ways. I think both gentlemen had something to gain from the relationship. And no, that I think they've achieved their goals. That's just it. They're calling time on it.
Well, maybe Trump has achieved the goal by winning the election, but do you think that Elon Musk has gotten all that he thought that he would have gotten out of the deal?
Well, it depends on what you think he wanted. I think certainly I take him at his word that he genuinely thought the direction of the Democratic Party posed a threat to, well, he said very broadly Western civilization, but certainly the American democracy. And I think in a way he has been able to elevate the prominence of X, formerly Twitter, when he bought it by, sort of making it a safe haven, if you will, for the right and the MAGA base of Donald Trump. So it depends on how you look at it.
Okay, and in terms of the American people, will they gain or lose from what went down during the Elon Musk time and what is look like it's going to happen now? What about the Medicaid and all those stuff? Did Elon Musk being a Doge influence that?
Well, I saw a ruling coming down from the Supreme Court this afternoon that Doge would be allowed access to social security data. You'll recall that a lot of it was tied up in litigation, as a lot of people tried to block Doge from getting access. The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 ruling this afternoon, I saw decided that Doge should have access to the data. So that question is to be seen as to what the impact is. And I saw another article that was saying that, the administration is realizing that Doge may have fired too many people too fast, because obviously the federal government is a massive bureaucracy, and a bureaucracy requires people to work. So you can't just fire people, willy-nilly and expect that the government will still work. So again, to be seen in the final analysis.
But they are saying, Ricardo and Chevron, that they can't find some of those people to rehire them.
Well, imagine people have moved on with them life. Nobody was going to be sitting at home. Yeah, nobody was going to sit at home. Yeah.
There's a press button topic before I go. Putin must be in total shock now to see the reaction from Ukraine and the two massive strikes against him in a couple of days. They thought that Ukraine would have rolled over and died in a couple of days. Even the great Donald Trump said he could have ended the war in one day. Now, I see Zelensky has undermined two massive strikes in Russia. That is, the world is now taking a better look at him.
I tell you something, I think it was always going to be a war of attrition. I mean, perhaps less so now that the West's commitment to Ukraine has kind of wavered, but it was always going to be a war of attrition, meaning they're just going to battle each other into exhaustion, without anybody clearly winning. I think Putin thinks he now has the upper hand, despite the recent strikes. So it's to be seen whether Trump's influence causes any movement. But from the get-go, with how the West was supporting Ukraine, Putin's obvious resolve, it just seemed to me that it was going to be a war of attrition until both sides decided, all right, enough. And you would have no clear winner.
I heard the great President Trump saying that they must box it out a little before him intervene. But we'll see what happens. Have a good weekend, both of you guys. Enjoy the weekend.
All right. You too. Omalo, good evening.
Good evening, Ricardo.
How you doing?
Evening, Omalo.
Yeah, listening to Daryl Bars on the radio today, it just led me to think about how important this election coming up is.
Uh-huh.
This is a very, very, very important election. And there are some very important things that need to get done in order to move this country forward. And one of them is energy.
Mm-hmm.
We have been doing a lot of good things on the macro end, but we just can't get the growth that we need really to accelerate the institutions in Jamaica to really give the people of Jamaica the type of quality service that they need. And one of the reasons for this is the energy policies we have here in Jamaica.
Mm.
And the energy policy we have here in Jamaica is really holding back based on cost of energy.
Agreed.
And
agreed.
And I would say to Jamaicans, I would really, really say this to Jamaicans, because these are things we must really look into when we are going to the polls. We had the PNP government in government, and they negotiated for us, and we got this energy policy that we are dealing with at this moment. That has really not helped Jamaican people. This is an experience we have. This is not something we are wondering if really this was something that worked for us. Or is the PNP going to do better at energy? They get an opportunity to give the Jamaican people the opportunity to get energy at an affordable cost. And they blunder. We Jamaicans have to understand and see the government and see the minister that stood up against JPS in a time when they wanted to double our bills and charge us more during a hurricane. And based on policies that were put in place, they were legally in standing to do such things. We have to really think about these things. Jamaicans have to think about 2027 coming, when the government is going to negotiate, although they already start, this in a light way, negotiate this JPS deal. If we want Paulwell to be at the table, or we want Mr. Vaz to be at the table, this is very important to Jamaicans as to this country moving forward and their disposable spending coming from their household as to how much they're going to be paying for light bills. Who do you want at the table to negotiate for you? Do you want Paulwell or do you want Mr. Vaz? Because we have gotten what Paulwell has done already. We have evidence of that. And this is what I am putting forward to the Jamaican people. My choice would be that I have Mr. Vaz negotiating for me.
Well, Omalo, I mean, we should have an idea of where things stand by some point in midpoint of July. I think it's July 8th when that initial proposal must be sent to JPS. So I don't know if we'll have access to that document or how much information on that document the minister will be willing to share, but we should be able to at least have an understanding as to where Jamaica's starting point in terms of those negotiations will be come July.
Yeah, and that's just the starting point and where we start from and all of these type of things. But the signing of this contract can also, the party that is there can say we never agreed to these things and we want to adjust these things and adjustments can be made. We want to know that if it's Mr. Vaz we put in there, whatever he puts forward, and we know based on his history and his standing for the Jamaican people in all area, in transportation, in getting school bus for the kids and stuff like this, yeah, and standing up against JPS and even if he, and be very loud and standing up against the telecommunications and these people. There would be no doubt as to who I want at the table. I have received what Mr. Paulwell has given to me, where my bills were just going out of hand and the OUR was being paid by people that they were raising the bills with. It was a mess what he has given Jamaican people. I don't want him to negotiate for me. Jamaican people have to think about the future and we have to think about how does a country grow. And one of the biggest reasons why people fight for oil and then don't even fight for water throughout the world is because of energy and how energy affects the growth inside of your country. And we have been told we have one of the biggest energy bills inside of the world.
No doubt, Omalo. I don't think you will find much disagreement in terms of the impact that Jamaica's energy cost has on our productivity and our economy. I don't think you will find much people disagreeing there.
Our productivity.
No doubt. We agree there.
Yeah, and that is why we need Mr. Vaz to be at the table. And Jamaicans, you need to put your eggs where it's supposed to be. That Mr. Vaz sitting at the table. Have a good night, Jamaica.
Well, you heard Omalo's endorsement there, ladies and gentlemen. That is up to you to decide. He has a point that who does Jamaica best want to see leading those negotiations with JPS, because, yes, the elections will come long before those negotiations end. They're set to wrap up sometime in 2026, 2027. So you do have a decision to make there in terms of who you want to helm those discussions, people of Jamaica. Who do we have on the line, Dana? Faithful, good evening.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Siobhan.
Evening, sir.
Faithful. Right, beautiful. Ricardo.
Yes, sir.
You have two guests on the program on Monday evening.
Monday.
And I think I was very much insulted with what her name? What the lady name?
Who did we have Monday, Dana?
Perkins. That's her name.
Oh, Professor Perkins. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I was very much insulted. She said, by the way, do we have a crisis in Jamaica?
Her definition of crisis I found strange. I mean, she's suggesting that the Prime Minister and the leader of government business, the leader of the President of the Senate and the House Speaker being from the same party somehow equals a crisis, which I find strange because that has been how our government has been set up for the better part of the last 60 plus years. So I never fully understood what she meant by we had a crisis in governance based on that structure.
That's one. And she said because of the crisis, we should vote for a third party. Do we have a third party in Jamaica?
We do.
Who is the third party?
What do you mean?
We have two, the
UIC and the NDM.
I don't know if the NDM is a registered political, but there's another one. It's a UIC as well as another political party whose name escapes me right now.
Yes, the point I'm making. Voting for a third party, you tell the person vote for PMP.
Let me tell you something, Faithful. I in my questioning of Professor Perkins on Monday, I tried to get at that point. There is a group in this country, a subset of people in this country, who I recognize only have a problem with prime ministerial power and the scope of prime ministerial power when it is exercised by a JLP prime minister. I said to myself sometimes, I wish people would be more intellectually honest and just say what they mean, rather than using, alarmist rhetoric like crisis.
That's exactly where I'm going.
Because when I asked the good professor, the structure of the powers of the prime minister under the Constitution have remained largely unchanged since 1962. So,
it takes place in the constitutional reform.
And I don't recall anybody having a problem with Portia Simpson Miller exercising the powers of the office of Prime Minister, PJ Patterson exercising the powers of the office of Prime Minister. So it seems to me that this is unique to the incumbent Prime Minister.
But even in that case, Ricardo, I don't see where she made that link between the incumbent powers of the Prime Minister and the Office of the Services Commission, because that is still an independent body that does not work under the premise of the Prime Minister. So I never quite understood what she was reaching for in terms of suggesting a crisis existed.
Yeah, as I say, I think it's just a problem with which Prime Minister is exercising the power.
She in effect, what she definitely is doing, she's campaigning for Mark Golden.
I wouldn't go that far. But I certainly think.
One second, Mr. Ricardo. If you ask in a country where there are two dominant political parties, PMP and JP,
right,
voting for a third party,
yes,
and you know where she's going. She's telling not to vote for Anjo and not to vote for the Labour Party.
But you do recall I asked her that question because it seemed to me that the line that I read back to her was suggesting that, because I didn't. But she pivoted to say she meant third party, which I don't think is a realistic prospect.
Let's be realistic. Right. She was buck shuffling.
As I said, it's not a realistic prospect and it wasn't persuasive at all. But as I said, I think the real problem is just which Prime Minister is exercising the power.
You know, one of our biggest problems. We are so-called civic group and commentator on the radio. We pretend too much. What we do, we pretend, and and in effect, what we try to insult other people intelligent. Your next guest was saying that Mr. Trump should not be there because he's compromised and all these things. And I'll say it go further than that. It is borne out of the fact that it is alleged that Miss Davis was at the Integrity Commission place. When she was there, it is alleged that they tell her not to reply. And who did she put in a replacement? It would not seem that they put a PMP person there. Nobody can say for sure maybe it's that. That's the impression they give off.
Well, time will tell on that one. Mr. Lawrence is acting in the position, so we don't know who ultimately will be the new director of investigations. Of prosecution, of corruption prosecution.
No, you're not responding to question mark, you know. I'm talking about the appearance that they give. All right, but the next young man, what is his name that was on the program? Said Mr. Trunk is there, he's compromised. Because it would appear that some twist. Because this is Jamaica that we are living in.
You mean Mr. Wignall? I think Mr. Wignall's point, to be fair to Mr. Wignall, he's not suggesting that Mr. Chung was compromised. He's just suggesting that his comments and the way things worked, it could give that opinion, and he can see where the People's National Party, based on where we are in the political season, could essentially hoist on that opinion to get their position. I can see that, and I can agree with that comment.
And he also said, this is Jamaica. We know things operate in Jamaica. How things can turn out to suit one person. Did he say that?
He did say that. He suggested that there's a certain lack of trust in our institutions.
Does it only reside at the FIA? Can the same question be said at the Integrity Commission?
Yes, I don't disagree with you there.
So why is it then? Why is it that then in this country we like to pretend? What is it that some persons are more holy than some must be criticized and some must not be criticized? Can you have a fair bad game straight across the whole field and to pretend?
All right, faithful.
Because when I listen to the narrative, the Integrity Commission that was there before, they make a lot of mistakes and we must have criticized them.
All right, faithful. Thanks for the call.
Come on, man.
Who's next? Craig? Ren?
Nice, yes, it is Ren. Are you hearing me?
Yes, man. How are you?
I'm good. No, I keep hearing everyone complaining and saying that Chung is being biased. But I don't hear no one is repeating exactly what he said and what about it is biased. No, that is important in order to prove your point. No, you're going to say he's biased because he doesn't see anything wrong with 28 bank accounts. But what we should be focusing on is what is in the account, as in the balance and the account and so forth. And in fact, that is what we should be focusing on. The importance should be on how many bank accounts an individual have. The conversation should be about what is going on within the account.
Mr. Chung was brought on the program and he was asked a specific question and he gave his expert opinion on that question. To suggest that that's his expert opinion, whether you want to argue against or for that expert opinion is one thing, but to suggest that making an expert opinion somehow disqualifies him from leading an organization where, let us suggest that the Prime Minister's statutory declarations are being investigated and they come to his desk to be perused, I'm sure you will have more information there on which to formulate a further opinion. And at the point he was simply acting as a public commentator giving his opinion.
We need more information and we need to get the forensic report. And I agree with him. I 100% agree with him because let us be frank. The person doing the investigation is a legal expert. We don't see where he has any form of financial expert. Everybody's talking about he's not qualified. Kenneth Stevens isn't qualified to be perusing financial statements. And it proved it with the errors that he made first when he stated that a company with net loss should be paying or nil return should be paying tax. So
which is the opinion of a chartered accountant, which is why I don't understand why that is suddenly being considered somehow an egregious statement.
And
he never suggested that the Prime Minister did nothing wrong. He never suggested that the Prime Minister did anything wrong. He simply gave his opinion as to the facts in front of him to say, would this rise to the level of a charge on the face of it? And he simply said, I don't know, 28 bank accounts by themselves doesn't mean anything because there are many Jamaicans who have multiple bank accounts. I would be shocked if Mr. Golding or Mr. Bunting or Dr. Nathan Campbell or any of the members of the People's National Party have a singular bank account.
And we also need, and if it is, we're going to imply that an independent body such as the Services Commission is somehow corrupt. Why can't we say the same for the IC? That is what everybody is walking around, and that is what they're implying. They're implying that somewhere, somehow, the Services Commission is corrupt and it can be corrupt. Okay, right, let us agree. If that's the case, why can't we then agree the same with the IC? The point I'm making is that unlike Kevin Stevenson, Chung does not unilaterally make any form of decision. Kevin Stevenson and what is his name? Ronnie Lawrence unilaterally decide whether or not a political official should be charged for corruption, and that is dangerous. Chung, as a technical director, does not unilaterally decide at anything, and we need to focus on that. Everyone is fussing about Chung can somehow. It's not possible. It is not possible because SID have a arm that deal with investigation. When the file is brought over from Kevin Stevenson, who unilaterally decide what needs to go into the file and what shouldn't, based on what we've seen, we did not see the forensic analysis. He unilaterally decided to take it out. Ronnie Lawrence, who is close friend with the CEO of the PNP, can unilaterally decide what decision to make, and no one finds that dangerous. If Dayton Campbell want to get rid of somebody from the PNP, he can ask Ronnie Lawrence, and this is alleged, I'm not saying he did.
Thank you for that qualification, because I was about to stop you from going any further. But thank you for that qualification.
I'm just saying he can, and he can also use Ronnie Lawrence to get rid of someone within the JLP or the PNP, because Ronnie unilaterally decide on whether or not someone is guilty or not, and that is dangerous. And nobody found that to be fair, Ren, though, at the end of the day, he still has to make a case in front of a court as to the decision as to whether someone is guilty or not. And yet still the PM exercise that right.
I don't think that's a sufficient barrier, Siobhan, because once you are charged,
the perception of it is
the damage would be
by the time I reach a court, what is left for there?
Yes, the damage would
Let us use the example with Richard Creary. The IC blundered and Minister a soul run up and down there. Yes, they went in afterwards and corrected it, but a media entity refused to do enough just to ensure that they follow up on that correction and now have a $10 million failure. Your reputation is what is important, and Andrew Holness' name has been dragged just because of this IC report, and he's going to court and he's been dragged to do his right to bring this to court. That's how dangerous one unilateral person making a decision can make. And I think when they're reviewing,
don't be politicking there.
I think what they should do when they're reviewing the IC, the ACT, or the IC, or whatever they are doing now, they need to look into the qualification of the investigator. You can't have an investigator going through financial records and just being a legal expert. That's where Kevin blundered. There's a lot of errors in it. I don't know if you guys go through it. There's a lot of errors. He's complaining that you're using something as security and you didn't have it in your possession before. I'm using a motor vehicle as a security to get a loan. A brand new motor vehicle. The motor vehicle is not in my name before. No, I go to the bank. I told them I see a vehicle what I want, and they took out a lien with the vehicle and everything. I didn't own it before I used it for security. And this is some of the errors that happened within the report. We had a investigator who has zero financial expert going through finances, and we need to work through that.
I would hope that in those instant cases, though, that the Integrity Commission reaches out to people with the proper competencies.
Yeah, and remember, he's a director of investigations, but he has
and he went through and he did, and let's us give him credit for that.
Yeah, remember, he heads an entire unit.
A forensic expert, and he ignored it, and he decided to reach out to the competent authority after displaying all of these to the public.
All right, thank you for the call. You know what I wonder? Why wasn't the matter referred to the FID for a determination before the report was sent to Parliament?
I think that question has been asked numerous times. I don't think anything can be considered as satisfactory answer has been provided.
Yeah, because here's why the challenge I'm having. if you investigated, you got international assistance, you could not come to a conclusion. Why didn't you then refer it before the tabling? If you can't come to a conclusion that would assist the Jamaican people one way or the other, wouldn't it have made more sense to get the FID's opinion so that you could come to a definitive conclusion?
I think there was a suggestion. I don't know if it came. I don't think it came from the Integrity Commission. I think it was a suggestion being thrown around that they couldn't do that. That they could not bring in an independent body such as the FID to do a further perusal. But then I know that was rubbish.
Yeah, because they would
by the FID itself, who said that no, we have a covenant.
Yes, I remember MOU, right? And the fact that you've done it,
to do this.
And the fact that you've done it after the fact shows that you can do it.
So I don't think that question was ever answered satisfactorily as to why they took that route.
Something to put to the Integrity Commission officially in questions.
But as I said, the politicking on the part of the People's National Party in terms of the Prime Minister taking the Integrity Commission to the court, I'm not detained by that, because if you recall, Ian Hales did the exact same thing.
Peter Bunting refused to sign the Code of Conduct.
And yes, he lambasted until he got his exoneration.
Right.
So I don't understand why it seems we're so particularly choosy about who can and cannot bring a body to a higher power if they are so aggrieved.
Michael? No, not hearing Michael. 630-937-124, 618-8255. Chris?
Greetings,
Good
gentlemen.
evening.
How are you
Good evening. Doing well. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I want to throw a spanner in this spoke.
Okay. Chris?
Hello?
You dropped Chris. 630-937-124, 618-8255. Sorry about that, Chris. We lost you. But yeah, and I would also want to know from the FID, and perhaps the new CTD can answer the question, do they have in their possession the file? I'm going to call it the file. And has this investigation commenced? When was this referred to them? Last September?
I recall trying to do a follow-up on that matter sometime earlier a few months ago, and I put that question to their communications director, and they said all that has been said in the initial message they sent out, that they received the file. And
so they have the file.
And that is all they're saying on the matter, that they have received the file.
What of TAJ?
TAJ has not even... TAJ has made no mention of that file, whether they received it, whether they're looking into it or anything.
Something for you and I to look into, Siobhan. Chris is back. Chris.
Yes, gentlemen. You made a point earlier, and I find it very, very interesting.
What's that?
You said it seemed as though these folks only have a problem when there's a JLT Prime Minister.
Yes, that's my honest reading of the situation.
I want to agree with you, because I am old enough to would have experienced Michael Manley twice.
Yes.
The first section of Michael Manley in the 70s when I was a boy,
Mm-hmm.
and much grown in the 1990s when he came into power. So I realized that these so-called civil society groups and non-political groups and persons have an issue only when the JLT is in power. But let me ask you this, though, because I find this to be another problem.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought about the real reason why the PNP is so against having a Dennis Chung leading the FID? Have you ever thought about the fact that it's not about Dennis Chung being, according to them, sympathetic to the Prime Minister's statutory declaration argument, yeah? Which I find that to be ridiculous anyway. But I don't think that is their real concern, you know. I think their real concern is the fact that Dennis Chung, who would have, in my research, seemed as though he would have had a stint working with Darren Mountain and Golden. Is that correct?
He did.
Yes.
Right. And the proprietor of Darren Bunting and Golding would have been one Mark Golding, yeah, and one Peter Bunting. Now, I suspect, and I'm just suspecting here, I don't know, that perhaps the biggest fear of a Mark Golding and a Peter Bunting is that someone like a Dennis Strong, who would have known exactly where all the skulls are buried as it relates to their antecedents and what took place in the 1990s and all that stuff coming up. And I don't think they are so inclined to have someone of a Dennis Strong stature in terms of his ability to sift through the numbers and find where things are. Because until today, none of us are able to scrutinize properly Mark Golding's statutory declarations. And there are several questions that has been eluding us for quite some time now. Several questions that have left unanswered. For example, you had a piece here that was written by Zara Burton. That several questions there, gentlemen. She raised several questions as it relates to certain properties that were not declared on the filing, and all of that good stuff. And it could very well be that those things were conveniently overlooked because of several biases.
Isn't my recollection, Chris, is that Mr. Golding said he didn't own the house?
Yes.
Yes.
But gentlemen, how do you read into that though? Is that a fair, logical, and sensible answer? Where we're a leader of the opposition.
I mean, it's something that's clearly provable. It's a matter of fact if he owns it or not. So I don't think the Integrity Commission goes behind, which I think is what you're trying to get at.
But they went behind Mr. Holness's declaration, though. They lifted up and tear it to pieces. Correct?
Well, their argument was that they couldn't. Was it $1 million increase in his?
I don't remember the exact dollar.
It was like $1 million or $1.something million.
In accounting standard, it was below what would have caused any alarm. Correct?
They said that they couldn't justify the increase. I think it was about $1 million, if I'm remembering. I need to refresh my memory on that report.
In accounting terms, it falls below.
Oh, you mean it's a negligible increase?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think the Integrity Commission is looking at it as a more of a matter of an avenue for potential corruption and the issues there pertaining than whether it reaches the standard of an accounting issue.
But what I would love to see though is now that there's a new FID head, I would love for us to really look into Mark Golding's statutory declaration, because I'm not convinced that it was properly scrutinized. I mean, the fact that we as Jamaicans had an opportunity to see behind what the Prime Minister had filed, I think it is fair game for us to know that Mark Golding's statutory declaration be revealed and opened up, and we lift whatever veil there is.
But who would you say veil? Who would you want to do that? Because the competent authority under law has done that and has decided that everything is above board, and they have certified it.
Yeah, but gentlemen,
just as I'm saying, who are you calling? You made the call. Who you want to do that?
I think the statutory, the Integrity Commission, the new commission that is going to be now not a new commission, but there are new heads now who would need a clear eye on it, and also the new FID boss could definitely have an interest. Is it that FID only operates if they're asked to, or do they have a responsibility to check whenever they're concerned?
In the case of this, it would be the Integrity Commission that manages this, unless they specifically call on the FID to look further, as they did in the case of the Prime Minister. But to your grander point, I think that is a bit of a deep dive into it. I don't think it's anything more than the politics of the day. The People's National Party believes the Prime Minister is particularly weak in this particular area. It is the one saving grace of their political campaign to date, really, so to speak, that the Prime Minister's statutory declarations are this and Y, and the government is corrupt that Y, X, Z. It is the only point that they have that seemingly resonates with anybody, and they're going to hammer it home and hammer it home. And Dennis Chung is just the latest casualty of their attempt to hammer that point home. I don't think it goes much deeper than that, really.
But I think we have to find a way. I don't know if by way of the access to information that it can be unveiled, or what law is there for us to revisit his declaration. Because if you look at the two, I cannot understand that why there's one standard for the Prime Minister, but the same standard is not upheld for the leader of the opposition. I believe that both statutory declarations should face the same level of scrutiny, and I think that we need to start examining how do we now go back to where we have missed out. And we would have scrutinized the Prime Minister to the T. We looked over it, and we even invited international audit firm to come in. We haven't even seen that report. What's going on with that report? You invited somebody, you paid taxpayers' money over to them, and we, the taxpayers, still can't even see that report that was filed by the forensic auditing firm.
So that call I would support 100%.
I'm genuinely curious why we to this day that report has not been made public.
So from your media,
poor
and from a media
that it was not sent to the Parliament with everything else.
Right, but could it be requested by way of access to information?
Yeah, it could be, but I suspect, this is just me going off the top of my head now, you see that act is not very strong, Chris. And it has so many ways for them to claim all kinds of exemption. It's not very strong.
Yeah. Especially when it has something to do directly with financial matters.
I imagine they would shoot it down. But we can try. We can try. I mean, we've certainly sent ATI requests to the Services Commission. I'm not very hopeful because they have responded to me on HR matters before.
I think civil society needs to really look at the balance of both. We have seen the Prime Minister's gone through the rigors, and I think it is fair game for the opposition leaders of statutory declaration.
And just to be clear, and I want it to be very clear, that we have no evidence that the Integrity Commission has not gone through what you call the rigors surrounding Mr. Golding's statutory declarations.
From a public standpoint, where we sit.
Right, that's what I'm saying. We have no evidence that has not happened internally. Right. What we have is that it has been certified and it has been declared fit and proper and has been gazetted. What you seem to be asking for now is for more information on the processes that led to that conclusion.
Yes.
Because
we would have seen the same process with the Prime Minister.
All right, Chris, hear you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Carl, good evening.
Good evening, Carl.
Yeah. Evening. I am happy that the private sector stand up against the white man. I'm very happy about that.
Against the opposition leader.
A British citizen. Anyhow, I heard always I say, Jamaica for justice is far when police kill like a citizen. That's the time them supposed to take up that mantle and do whatever them. But do you notice anything concerning this government, Jamaica for justice almost the second somebody leap out of the block.
I don't know if that's fair, Carl. I don't believe that the JFJ has opined on the matter of Dennis Chung. Or the matter of... I don't believe so, no.
Yeah. No, well, that's what the British citizen said. He called three of them names. The one that Trevor Monroe did ahead of.
That's NIA?
Jamaica for Justice. And he called the next one name.
It would be NIA champ.
He would be mistaken if he called JFJ's name.
Well, check it for yourself.
I'm saying, no, I believe you, but I'm saying he would be mistaken. I have not seen any statement. I have not heard a word.
Right. Yes, I want to take you now, Ricardo. About a month and a half ago, I asked you a question. You say you was going to check it. I mean, here you come up with no.
What was the question?
I asked you, with everybody who say anything as a shadow cabinet now, you cannot believe them. And when it turn out that is his error. And I asked you other day, out of all of what will be the 63 and what you see them have put up, where would you get a cabinet? If God forbid and PMP should have win an election, where would you get a cabinet? Hello?
Conceive, it would have to be from the elected members that form the majority.
And the Senate, yes.
And the Senate, yes.
I agree with you, yes or no?
Uh-huh.
But when you look on them, where they run the PMP, where a spokesperson
could you put them there, to be a cabinet minister?
I have one vote, Carl. One vote. It's the Jamaican people who hold it.
Me have one too.
It's the Jamaican people who
and
determine.
And I always exercise it when I election, Carl.
I do too.
But you understand where the question that I'm asking you?
No, but well, you have concluded that they are not fit for government. But other people clearly have a different idea. Yes.
Ricardo, all right, call it the two biggest person different from the British citizen would be Bunting and Julian Robinson. That's where I want to take it tonight. That error, that misleading that Bunting went on into the parliament about the contractor. How could you put Bunting again to be Minister of National Security? It's better you put me beside him in suitcase. And how could you put Julian again to be a Minister of Finance? This would be worse than Omar Davis. You know, to be very honest here, Ricardo, I want the Prime Minister to call election because a lot of us want to do more business and all of us business on whole. Because Ricardo, me I tell you tonight, the 6th of June, if PMP come back in the office 6 months after Jamaica, people are fly out of you remember when Michael Manley they say who not liking policy, the whole one eye flight, it will be worse at this time. It is less than a year, and look what is going on down at Thief in KCC. It become a criminal organization today. And you can't ask a question down there and get an answer in less than a year. Can you imagine these people who will government?
I noticed you say if no, Carl. Usually you don't come on and say that is not a possibility.
I was thinking the same thing.
No,
it sounds a little shaky.
No.
I was thinking the same thing, Siobhan. Your confidence has taken a hit.
Yeah, I think Siobhan and Ricardo, you're thinking wrong there.
No, I see. It's suddenly a possibility.
Right.
Before it was outside the realm of possibility.
Let me tell you something, Ricardo. Yeah,
Fred.
Let me give you the last.
Yeah, Fred, man. Just Fred. Yeah, Fred.
Hold on now.
You're not sure.
It is 42. 21.
Oh, I see. That's your prediction.
42-21.
Okay.
So that's a concession because first you were certain that you're gonna keep everything and get some more.
No 52 in here.
Yeah.
Oh.
No 52 you tell me.
No, me never tell you 52 Ricardo. Go and check what the record.
Okay.
Check it.
So you lose much at 7? Not 7. You're losing 7.
7.
Oh, which 7?
No, you can't ask me that.
Oh.
Me bigger than that. Me and a nephew.
Oh. You're losing any in Kingston and St. Andrew?
Me say me bigger than that. Me can't answer you that the question.
But you're sure about 7 you lose?
Yeah, 7.
I see.
7 look away.
Oh, I see. Okay.
7 look away. But let me tell you, Ricardo, my concern, when we look on all of them, all right, what Julian Robinson did since week now, the only reason why Julian jumped back out of the box so fast, to clarify a misleading story. He knew that a lawsuit would have come. And he wouldn't ever stomach it.
What I will agree with you on, Carl, is that there is a certain indecent haste which seems to lack any kind of strategic direction to jump on everything and anything. And I am agreeing with you that haste is indecent and it don't spell. Yeah, I agree.
They must see if they can find something to stick.
Yes.
So
yes.
If they see
that's certainly the impression that's being given.
If they see one mango jump off of one tree and one green part on it, then try to jump on it. Then try to take up the mango and look on it careful and spin it. But what Julian did, with Julian is a shadow cap Minister of Finance. Julian could have take up his phone and call that business and hear before he jump out. Anyhow, me have to ask you before me leave.
No, man,
what were you demonstrating about Monday?
What was I demonstrating about?
Mm-hmm. All of you answer me say me no know. Have a blessed weekend.
I was not demonstrating.
He's referring to that.
No, I know. Let me respond this way. 6 or 1, half dozen of the other. Bobby.
Ricardo.
Yes, sir.
Chevron.
Evening. How you doing, Bobby?
Good evening. You know, say me disappointed in Ricardo.
Why are you disappointed?
Me never know say Ricardo was up at Hero Circle demonstrator.
I can't think of the cause that would get me out of my yard at 8:30 in the morning to hold up a placard in the sun. I cannot think of the cause. So me never dare demonstrate nowhere.
Because it seems like they call drive past there and see you.
I said to you, I cannot think of the cause that could cause me to come out of my bed at that hour to stand in the sun with a placard.
Exactly.
I can't think of the cause.
Exactly. But what I want to ask you,
maybe if people were protesting for the abolishing of income tax, maybe I'll get off. Maybe we'll have a call Chevron and we go there. Probably, right, books? Maybe that one day, but I don't think there's much else that could. Yes.
Yeah, man, it's true. You see, what I want to discuss tonight. What is wrong with Angela Brownberg?
What do you mean?
No, man. No. This lady is trying to make the country look bad on the international scene. The international scene see Jamaica as a good country and then give away top ratings. And because of the appointment by the Services Commission of Dennis Chung, she's just, to me, she's just trying to bring down scandal on Jamaica. If she thinks that it is the Andrew Holness administration she's hurting, she makes a sad mistake. She's hurting herself. She's hurting the students who now are sitting CXC exam, external and internal, and after tertiary institution come out to serve our country. She is hurting them. She's hurting the baby that just born. Right? And what I see this PMP administration is doing to Jamaica right now, to be honest, I would urge the entire Jamaican people that in the next general election don't even give them not even one seat.
No, that wouldn't be good for the democracy. You need an opposition.
But Ricardo, they are not doing anything good on behalf of the people of Jamaica. They are just trying to damage Jamaica for them to get into office. Any little loophole them see, them just jump on it to try and bring down the administration, so that they want to rule the mind of the Jamaican people so they can get in office. You look on what?
I tweeted the other day. By the way, follow me on Twitter, X, free promo. Follow me on X, Carter Brooks, at Carter Brooks. But no, I tweeted the other day that Kamina Johnson-Smith deserves her flowers, She never gets into any kind of public spat, any kind of argument, any kind of cuss.
Exactly.
She just keeps her head down and she does the work, and then you see the result. And I don't think we credit her enough as a foreign minister. True. In fact, before Kamina Johnson-Smith became foreign minister, I don't think the portfolio was ever quite this prominent. Certainly not in the last 15 years, maybe. The portfolio has never felt this prominent. Perhaps the work was just being done and we weren't being told, but it's never felt this prominent. I think we should give Kamina Johnson-Smith her flowers. But to our opposition counterpart, Angela Brownberg, here's my response to that. It's part of the politicking. Some of the words that they're using now, everything now is a scandal. So every press release now has the word scandal in it, or crisis, or what's another one, Siobhan, that's overused now? Untenable, or there's a demand. So those words are now, part of the vocabulary It's part of the politicking. It's part of the politicking. I agree with you that it's dangerous, and I've said before that nobody should want to burn it all down, because you'll just rain over ashes. But that's the politics.
Because I am a patriotic Jamaican. I could leave Jamaica and go overseas and stay with my children and the rest of my family. But me say no, me Atania so. I am a born Jamaican and I am a son of this soil. You see, and one final thing that I want to leave with the Jamaican people, look here. Look on the administration that build your life. Look on the administration that build infrastructure, right, and let your life better. Because, for example, Ricardo and Chevron, I hear the opposition is calling for an audit in the work of the Cornwall Regional Hospital that they neglect for the past 18 and a half years.
That seems to be another one that's going around. We need an audit. We need the Auditor General. That seems to be going around quite a lot lately.
Yeah. But the fact is, they neglect the Cornwall Regional Hospital for decades. And it's this administration under the leadership of Dr. Christopher Tufton have to take up the mantle and try to rebuild that hospital. What were they doing for the 18 and a half years? Just collecting taxpayers' money and let people's life miserable?
All right, Bobby, hear you. Over on Twitter, Thea Davis is answering the question we were asking Siobhan about when the referral was made. She says the talking points had to continue. So by sending the report to Parliament, then to the FID, the PM statutory declarations would not be certified, and the PNP and their surrogates would still have the talking points about 28 bank accounts, etc. So she's suggesting it's a deliberate act to ensure that the matter continued. David?
Call me naive and that I have enough trust in my institutions to believe that is not the reason that took place.
David?
Yes, okay, Ricardo. And
Siobhan.
Siobhan, right. Good evening. I heard a caller speaking about the statutory declaration of the leader of the opposition, but to my memory, both the leader of the opposition statutory declaration and that of the Prime Minister are the two that are published.
Yes.
So I was surprised because he didn't remind him of that, They are published, so therefore if it's published, it is available for him to scrutinize.
Oh, no, man. No, that's not his concern. He wants to know the process by which the Integrity Commission satisfied itself that everything within that was declared was actually as it is. That's
yes, he wanted to know that too, but I was listening carefully. And he was talking about ATI, access to information, to get the document. So that's the part I am suggesting that it is available.
In the terms of the ATI, he was speaking about the financial audit report, the international financial audit report that was done into the Prime Minister's statutory declarations.
No, he spoke about. I was listening carefully. I was listening carefully. Secondly, the Blue Dot polls. Yes, I listened to the main show. Was it last Friday?
It was.
And,
yes.
Yes. Found it very interesting, comprehensive. Listen to the methodology,
yes,
and the findings, the final finding as to party standing or voter intention. And I tend to concur that the methodology was sound, where the national picture was concerned.
Okay.
But for the parish profiles, I'm a little concerned about that because where the national picture, it was said that the margin of error was 2.3% plus or minus.
That's right.
It was not the same. I listened to Jenny, the lady from Buda.
Yes.
It was not the same 1,618 that they used for the parish profile.
You mean in the swing constituencies or the parishes?
Yes, right, yes, for the parish profile in those. No, there are two parish profiles. One for the swing constituencies.
Right.
And there was another one.
Right, so overall.
So in fact, there was only 3 constituency profiles, right? One in St. Mary, 2 in St. Elizabeth, and they were I think 13 parish profiles. Based on what you said, the figures that you got wouldn't be very reliable because the margin of error would be too wide. Because they were using maximum of 175 in those antigen to profile.
Wasn't it 175 in addition to what they would have polled within the normals, the regular, the ordinary sample? I think I heard her say. No, man. I think I heard her say, for example, if you had in the regular sample polled, let's say 100 people in Western St. Mary, then she added another 100. Isn't that what I heard her say?
That's not what I heard her saying.
Okay,
but I believe that's what she said for the swing seats.
The swing constituency. Yeah, man, that's what I heard. Yeah,
they did additional polling for the swing seats,
right, in order to come to the result that was shared.
What I heard her saying is that they would have pulled some numbers. They would have put additional numbers in those constituencies. In other words,
pulled additional people.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
They pulled additional people, but she said the maximum was about 175. She said that. Go back and the tape is this 175, because otherwise, if she were to divide the thing by constituencies, maybe it would be about 60 people or whatever. What I'm saying is that neither Bobby Montague would be on 19 points, or Floyd Green is up X points. Remember the amount or the other constituencies.
All right. Whatever I do, I'll check it back out for you because I'm getting the wrap-up signal. Remind me your name again? David. And I encourage you to call back on Monday and we can have the conversation. But they're getting the wrap-up signal. But thank you for bringing it to my attention, my brother. I'll check it out. Have a good one. Yeah, man. All right, that's all the time we have. Dana Davey, thank you so much. Andrew Glenn Anderson, the man behind the controls. Our colleagues in the newsroom, the very best in the business, led by our editor, Cara Powell. Thank you to all our sponsors, contributors, and you, our valued listeners. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good evening.
Make a toast to your future, the JTA Cooperative Credit